What's up, boys? How we doing? So in today's stream, we got a lot to discuss. We got a freaking too much to discuss. Honestly, I've been getting so many comments, so many on Discord, on YouTube, of people asking me about what I think about the new Zach Creggers Resident Evil movie, or I guess just the new trailers and stuff. So we are going to be doing a dissection. If you guys don't know what that is, I basically go over and break it down and see exactly what's up. We're also going to be looking at Zach Creggers' kind of thoughts on his own movie, which I haven't seen before. I did see the official teaser when it came out, I think 2 days ago, so we're going to be looking at that. But the most important thing, though, is that, as mentioned, we're going to be looking at his kind of breakdown, his own breakdown of his own trailer. Now, what I find kind of interesting, though, about Zach Creggers, I will state that he says a lot of things that make absolutely no sense. He makes a lot of contradictory comments. You know, before he was making a bunch of excuses. We covered that. This was months ago on the main channel. And then on the, the second channel, we've been covering a bunch of his other stuff that he's been stating. And what I'm getting at here is that it's no surprise that he stated even more nonsense. So we're going to be going over all of that. But of course, I do want to preface and state that if you guys are excited for this movie, that's fine. I don't care. That you can do whatever you want. You know what I mean? That's fine. I only have an issue when I have Resident Evil fans who think that this is going to be a faithful video game adaptation, or fans that think that this is going to be just a good Resident Evil movie. Basically saying the same thing here, faithful video game adaptation, just because this director somehow, has a track record of doing amazing video game adaptations, which is obviously not the case. He's only done 2 horror movies. That does not necessarily translate to you being an excellent video game adapter, I guess, when it comes to movies. But as mentioned, we're going to go over all of that. I should probably put an alarm. I don't have too much time today. I am, right now it's 1:34. I would say I have until 4 o'clock, so we are going to be going over that. So we'll see if we actually, it depends on how much we yap, if I'm being 100% honest. It depends how much we yap today, but we'll see. We'll see if we'll actually play, because like I said, usually these dissections, if you guys are new to the channel, these dissections are not short. They're really long. we end up yapping quite a lot. I end up yapping, of course, because that just comes with the streamer territory, right? Or just YouTuber territory. Just gonna yap. But I do want to put myself an alarm just because I can't be late here. So 1 second, boys. But how's everyone going? How's everybody doing? Before we start, let's just chat a little, see how everyone's been doing. I also have to talk about some updates too on some videos that I'm working on as well, because that's also another reason why these past 2 days I haven't really done the Zach. I haven't really dissected it or done anything. That's what we're doing it today, is because I'm working on other videos. So as mentioned last week, I did go to Calgary Expo, had a fantastic time, and I did end up interviewing a Resident Evil legend. So that's going to be releasing. I wanted to release it today, but I'm going to be hella busy today. So I think we're going to go for a public. I'm going to try to post it tomorrow. But you guys are going to see. Now, what's interesting, though, is that this is only going to be part of the interview. This is going to be all the interviews that I did. But the Resident Evil legend that I interviewed, that's only going to be part of the interview. The main channel, that's going to go on the second channel, but this is kind of just a compilation of all the questions that I kind of asked everybody. But on the main channel, that will be the full kind of interview, which will also include that basically half of the video that's going to be included tomorrow. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's basically the plan. So how's it going, boys? Let's catch up to some chats. What's up, Poke? What's up, Mimi? Hey, chat. Hope everyone is doing good. Yeah, hey, how you doing? Doing good. I mean, I'm doing all right. I'm going to be honest with you. I've been kind of sleeping kind of poorly these past couple of days. Not going to lie. I've been kind of sleeping a bit poorly. But I think I'm okay. I'm okay. Like I said, I just need to lock in. Got to get those videos out for you guys. And on top of that too, you know how last time I said that I was going to be doing the second kind of video, follow-up video to the tips video that I did for Resident Evil 9. I am in the process of working that, but since Calgary Expo kind of went, it came out of nowhere, as I forgot that it was happening, that kind of made me, it kind of pushed the videos to the next week, right? So next week I'm going to have those, that Resident Evil voice actors interview, and then also, I'm going to have that as well. Oh, what's happening? Oh, thank you so much, Mimi, for becoming an R.P.D member. Did I hear that, or am I tripping? You know what? I also have to mention, too, thank you so much, Mimi, for becoming an R.P.D rookie. Appreciate you. I was gonna say, the reason I'm only using one headbutt, these are $200 IMs, by the way, in-ear monitors, and I noticed this today. This thing was coming out with the cables. I was like, bro, what the frick? So I think I didn't hear the notification just because it's probably on the right ear, but just so you guys know, so thank you. Thank you so much, Vivi, for being a R.P.D rookie. Lord Vigar says, I'm all right hanging out at work on standby. Nice, man. Yeah, you're usually on standby on Saturdays, right? Appreciate you for stopping by. Movie comes out a day after my B-Day. Nice. Yeah, when does the movie come out? Didn't they say, like, that's another problem with Zach Creggers movie, was that he basically only had a year to do it. So, you know, we recently, I think, 2 weeks ago, I kind of went over on the second channel all of the information that came out, specifically all of the early screen tests that came out. Now, I don't really care about randos and what they have to say about the movie, because there's so many Zach Creggers fanboys that honestly I could care less. But there was one guy who was a Resident Evil fan who had watched the movie. He watched the early screen test, and he basically said, you know, spoiler alert, if you guys haven't watched that video, I recommend go watching it just to see his full thing, because I'm kind of paraphrasing here. But he said, yeah, it had nothing to do with Resident Evil, like, at all. So it also begs the question, right? Usually with early screen tests, they can always change stuff. They can do minor or major edits. But when it's so close to hitting home, basically, like, this movie's going to be releasing in 4 months? Right? Am I tripping? What are we, May? May? Yeah. So in 4 months, this movie's going to be releasing, because it releases in September, right? Once this movie releases, I don't think they can go and do some reshoots, go to Prague and do like a bunch of stuff like that. I doubt that that's going to be the case. You know, movies, it usually takes a long time to edit for movies. So the fact that this was done really short notice is, yeah. And, you know, that kind of adds to the theory too. A lot of people were kind of theorizing that Zach was going to make this movie regardless if it had the Resident Evil name on it. But Constantine basically approached him and gave him the rights, or gave him the, you know what I mean, the authority to make a Resident Evil movie. So the theory is kind of like, this guy already had this movie, he already had the script, and then he just basically made it Resident Evil, right? Sprinkled in some Easter eggs, which is what seems to be in the trailer, which we're going to look at soon, by the way. So, yeah, September 18th, I believe. Okay, thank you. Wes, would you say Charlize Theron looks like Alyssa Ashcroft from Resident Evil 9? Charlize Theron? Not really. Kind of? I would say kind of, but I don't know. Like, I could, kind of? Yeah, I would say, I don't know, Alyssa's more of a baddie if I'm being 100% honest, but I don't know. I don't even know how Charlize Theron looks like now. I don't even know if I don't know how she looks, so I don't know. Maybe like in her younger years, maybe a little bit closer, but I don't know. Let's catch up. Let's see. Wes, have you played any of the Neo games? No, I have never played any of those. Let's see. Okay, we caught up. I don't like missing chats, by the way, so if you guys chat, just let me know if I miss any of your chats. But, yeah. I thought maybe, yeah. Grab a sponsor from Helix Mattress. What? Are you talking about how, like, I've been having not the best sleep? I don't even know what Helix Mattress is. What is that? I don't know. I mean, my mattress is fine. I like my mattress. My mattress is pretty freaking sick. I don't know. I've just been, you know what? I think if I'm being 100% honest, I think it's just been like, I've been kind of like on the constant go, right? I recently traveled last week. I came home, you know what I mean? I started editing. Well, you know what? No, I couldn't edit. I was also working. And then I only started editing, like, all of the footage, I think 2 days ago. Yeah, so I've just been kind of just I've just been locked in. I've just been, and it's a lot of interviews. Like shout out to everybody that I met at Calgary Expo. By the way, everybody was super nice. All of the Resident Evil fans that I talked to were like, you know what I mean? They were great. Honestly, all of them were fantastic. I will say though, it was funny. Day one, I only spoke to exclusively like hardcore RE fans. Well, I don't know about hardcore, but like, you know, RE fans that have been playing for a long time. You know what I mean? That actually know the games. So I don't know what, yeah, but like, you know, day 2, I kind of spoke to a little bit of a mixed crowd, right? Some people were like, you know what I mean? Like they've just been started, or they started like maybe like a couple years ago, you know, but day 1 was sick. But also day 2 was also great to see, you know what I mean? I think I did interview one person who, you know, they hadn't played for too long, but it was great kind of speaking to them and kind of seeing how they're really catching up with Resident Evil games. So, you know, there's so many RE games, so, but it's kind of cool to see like newer fans that are like really, you know what I mean, like striving to learn the lore and get started with Resident Evil. One thing too that I thought was so funny is that I did the same thing I did last year. If you guys are well aware, I kind of made a lot of people kind of speak Spanish. So I asked Resident Evil fans, like, what are your top 3 Ganado voice lines, right? And seeing people actually like right away like get the Ganado voice lines was sick. I really like that. Yeah, that's so cool. I mean, so many people are like, I don't speak Spanish, I don't know what to do, and it's like, no, they just have to think about it and they get it. Like they'll literally say 3 of their favorite lines. Like, so it's so funny. And not only that too, is that most people know the translation of it. So it might just be like an obscure Resident Evil line, right? Like a Ganado voice line. But people actually know what it means. That's like the coolest thing. I love that. I love seeing that. Like I did that with Nick last year, Nick Apostolides. And that was super funny. So, yeah. I did make some comments before you started the stream. Not sure you can read them, but they were just about the Cregger movie. No, you know what? I can't see them right now. I would have to go on YouTube to see them. But yeah, I don't know what I'll have to see. But yeah, have you watched Requiem for a Dream, Wes? I just watched it for the first time, man. What a film. No, what is that? What is Requiem for a Dream? I've never heard of that. This movie got me thinking about a remix, and I thought it would be cool if they potentially were to make a movie about Chris and Sheva. Yeah, I don't know if that's an interesting idea. I mean, I think if they're going to explore Chris and Sheva, it could be later on down the line, but who knows, right? I mean, we haven't seen Sheva at all since Resident Evil 5, right? Like, it's been a hot minute since we've seen our girl Sheva, and she's so underrated. She's so underrated. So we actually did end up speaking. I did end up actually asking some Resident Evil fans about that. So, like I said, stay tuned. I think it's going to be releasing tomorrow. It's going to be all the interviews that I did, and also the Resident Evil voice actor that I interviewed. Yeah, I think that how I found you made this RE4 Spanish translation videos. Oh yeah, is that how you found? Yeah, a lot of people found me through that. And by the way, I am gonna continue doing that as well. So it's just, there's a lot of stuff I got to go over. We also have to go over the leaks too. I've been kind of stating that as well. I have to go over the theories that I got correct for Resident Evil 9, because there's a bunch. It's actually funny, I got more theories correct for Resident Evil 9 than the leakers did, because the, the leaks were so bad for Resident Evil 9. Even for just Resident Evil in general, like the games. But yeah, we got to talk about that. And that kind of leads me back to what the topic at hand today, right? We're going to be talking about Zach Creggers Resident Evil movie. We kind of discussed this, I think, 2 weeks ago when we played Pragmata, when Capcom gave me the game, and we played that, which, by the way, I gotta play Pragmata. Pragmata's such a good game, yo. I gotta play it again. I haven't had time because I've been traveling, and then this week I've just been working and stuff, so, but I gotta get back into it. I might have to stream it. I don't know. We'll see. But anyways, what I was gonna say is that in that stream, we kind of discussed how it's very similar. Like the leaker part of the Resident Evil community is very kind of, they're very delusional. There's no other way to say it, right? Delusional, but what I mean by delusional is that obviously they ignore facts, they just want to believe what they want to believe. And that seems to be the case with Zach Creggers fanboys, right? We're going to be going over some of the arguments that I keep seeing throughout all of social media, whether it's TikTok, whether it's Instagram, whether it's YouTube. But I keep seeing repeat arguments that are just being made all the time. Now, I have also been seeing a bunch of Resident Evil fans that have been countering a lot of these nonsense, because that's the thing, right? I mean, I don't understand how a Zach Creggers fanboy can defend this movie when it has absolutely nothing to do with Resident Evil. To me, that seems highly illogical, right? I mean, it doesn't matter. This is something I stated in my previous video, right? It doesn't matter if you guys, if there's the best director in the world, if there's the best actor in the world, if there's the best writer in the world for a movie. If the people don't know what the source material is, it's not going to work. And on top of that, too, when it comes to Resident Evil, we have to look at kind of like the rights, right? I mean, The people, the problem with Resident Evil is not the directors, not the actors, not all of that stuff. The problem is the production company, right? The German production company by the name of Constantine Films. They're the sole rights owners to be able to make live action movies. This is why Capcom has not made a live action movie. They've only done CGI animated, right, movies or shows, which are canon to the series, of course. But yeah, this is not good. Yeah, but anyways, we're gonna be going over that really soon. Let's see. Come on, Capcom, it's May. Where's the DLC? Yeah, what's up, Nigel? Yeah, yeah. I heard it's coming out what, next week or something like that, right? She returns in the new Ro film. Small Ro, but cool that they brought her back. Who is that? I did make the let's see. Let's see. My favorite one is the one in RE4 Remake. De Vamos a Romper en Pedazos. It's my vocal stim whenever I'm playing RE4 Remake. Well, to be fair, a lot of the lines that were in the remake were all in the OG. I remember when I was making videos on RE4 Remake, I did get one of the translators. This was like before the game released. One of the translators was watching my videos, and he was like, yeah, just to be clear, I can say this, but all of the lines that were in the OG were ported over basically to the remake. We just made some tweaks to, you know, be more authentic to the region of Spain, right? Instead of just making a generic kind of Spanish. Because that's the other thing too. There's also a lot of fans that incorrectly assume that OG, like the original Resident Evil 4, had Mexican Spanish. That's incorrect. I wouldn't go so far as to say that. I think it has, I would say, more of a Latin American Spanish, but they also use certain words from Spain as well. But there's only one scene. There's only one specific scene where you can kind of hear some Mexican slang words. Only one scene that I can think of. But yeah. Let's see. Zom Factored, what's up, man? He says, what's up? Thank you so much for stopping by, Zom. Appreciate you. Let's see. Ashanti would be perfect. Who's Ashanti? Wait, Ashanti sounds familiar. Are you talking about like Sheva? Yeah. Okay, I know Ashanti. Yeah. But she's kind of like, she's like 45 though. That's crazy. Wait, is that what you guys were talking about? Where you guys were talking about like Sheva or whatever? Lord was saying that she returns in the new Oro film. By the way, I haven't watched that. I have had zero time to watch it. I have to watch that, yo. My bad, yo. I gotta watch it. Yeah, I gotta like, yo, I've been super busy, yo, to be fair. But I gotta watch it. Hey, I supported the movie, okay? I supported it for being made. It's just like, I gotta watch it. I gotta lock it. I only watched like the first couple of minutes, and then I had to go back and do some other stuff and stuff, so... Yeah, Chevron, they had her in the row. Okay, yeah. You know what? I kind of saw like a post from Andrew Salo, shout out to Andrew, on Insta, I believe, where it showed like some of the cast members, and I saw Sheva, and I was like, yo, what's Sheva doing here? Is Sheva in the movie? I also saw Claire Redfield as well, which, fun fact too, I had no idea that Claire was the host of the Big Comfy Couch, which I used to watch as a kid all the time. That's crazy, because she's Canadian, isn't she? Is she not? Or am I tripping? Big Comfy Couch? Yeah, it's Canadian, yeah. Yeah, I used to watch this show all the time as a kid, and she used to do like the stretches and stuff, and like the 12 o'clock, and I had no idea. I think this was like 2 years ago. I saw on Twitter somebody say like, oh, I just found out that Claire Redfield's voice actor used to be in the Big Comfy Couch. I was like, yo, what? Yo, that's crazy. What the freak? So that's so cool. That's so cool. Yeah, I used to watch this. Yeah, dang. It really, wait, it's actually, it started in 1993. Dang, and then how long did it go to? I don't know. I watched it like forever as a kid. Yeah, 2006? 2006 when they last stopped. Yeah, like... That's crazy. Yeah, but honestly, yeah, it was pretty sick. Oh, they also had her in This Hour Has 22 Minutes. On October 18, 2016, episode of This Hour Has 22 Minutes. In a segment, in discussion of 2016 clown sightings, Lunette made an appearance on the show's clown correspondent. They marked the character's first television as a decade since the show's finale in 2006. Alison Court had portrayed Lunette on TV since her departure in 2002. Oh, so 2006 is when the show finished, but 2002 is when she stopped. Okay, yeah, because I was gonna say I don't think I watched the 2006 one, but yeah, that's so funny, yo. That's so funny. That's so cool. Yeah, she's basically, it's funny because Allison Court is basically like my childhood, bro. Like, it's crazy. She's basically my childhood. I don't know. It's just wild to think about. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. Let's see. I think this movie looks good. I like the Outbreak. I like RE Outbreak the movie. What RE Outbreak the movie? What's up, TJ? How's it going? Thanks you so much for stopping by. Sheva says they had her. Oh yeah. Yeah, she was great. Loved her in that live action. I see the flags in the background. Yeah, I've had flags in the background for all of my streaming setups, man. Yo, bonus points if you guys can guess. Yo, but you know what? That's kind of cheating though, Zom. You know me already, bro. You know me. What do you mean? Like, you know what? That's an even bigger test. If you can't name the countries, that's a problem. That's a problem, actually. Because we know each other. Well, I guess actually, I don't know if you know. That's a little bit too harsh, actually, because we've talked, obviously, you know what I mean? But I don't know if you know, like, my full background. No. I think I mentioned it once. And you have a good memory, Zom. So I don't know. I'm pretty sure I mentioned it. I'm pretty sure. Matalo. So hey, how's it going, Ajay? How's it going? What's up, dude? Yo, long time no see, man. On the streams, I know you're always on Discord. I appreciate it, man. You're just in time, Ajay. We're gonna start soon and kind of go over the Zach Creggers stuff. Wes, have you ever played Sekiro? No. You know what? I've actually always wanted to play Sekiro, but I've never played it. I've always waited for a sale, and there's literally never a sale. It's the only Souls games that I actually want to play, because all my friends have always told me, like, yo, you love playing on hard difficulty, you know, you're a hardcore gamer, yo, come on, play a Souls game, play Elden Ring, play anything. I'm like, no, I don't care. I kind of want to play Sekiro though, but I've literally never seen it on sale. It's still like it's still super expensive. So nah, sorry, I don't know. I have like a love-hate relationship with Sekiro because I just haven't played it. Does Montreal have a flag? Yes. Every province, I guess. Yeah, every province has a flag. The only thing I don't know is territories should also have flags. But I mean, that's the same thing with like America, right? You guys, every state has their own flag. So yeah, it does. But no, that's not the Montreal flag. The Montreal flag is just like, it's blue. It has like some crosses and stuff. It's like super French. You see it. Look, I'll show you. One second. I'll show you the Montreal. I mean, no, sorry, not Montreal flag. I mean Quebec flag. I'm tripping, bro. I'm tripping. Is that what you were asking? If the city? Yeah, I don't know if the city has a flag. I doubt it. But the Quebec flag has. That's what I equated it to. So my bad. Yeah, I don't know if cities have flags. That's crazy. I don't know. Do they? Oh, they do. They do have a flag. It still looks hella French, though. It still looks hella French, actually. Wait, why is it different? What the frick? Okay. Sorry, boys. I had to have my tea. It's kind of cold. All right, we're locked in. Yeah, honestly, yeah. That's basically the Quebec flag. The Quebec flag is just blue. And yes, cities have flags. You know what? I never even thought of that. What is the Calgary flag? Yo, the Calgary flag is like the most Calgary flag I've ever seen. For those of you that don't know, where I live, right, like the province that I live in right now, because I'm kind of from everywhere, but Alberta is essentially, people call it the Texas of like Canada. Like, there's cowboys here. There's, you know what I mean? Like, it is basically the Texas of Canada. But yo, this is the most like Alberta thing I've seen. That's crazy. London. Let's see London, Ontario. Hold on. London, Ontario. Not like, yo. Okay, wait. Yo, this looks like it's like the freaking. This looks like the flag of like Gondor or something, bro, from Lord of the Rings. Gondor flag. Isn't it like, am I tripping? Yeah, that literally looks like the Gondor flag, but less epic. Yo, Lord of the Rings over here in London, bro. No. The Gondor flag is way more goated. It's a way more goated. But you can kind of see like the resemblance, right? Poke says, does Calgary have a Canadian? Yes. I think it's like the only. I think Alberta has like one of the top 2 most famous. I don't know. They probably have more, but I think those ones are the most famous in Alberta. It's kind of like the Blue Jays in like Toronto, right? Like I can't name any other like baseball team in Canada. I also can't name any other like actually I think my water bottle is like the basketball team for Toronto, right? Like the Raptors. Yeah, Toronto Raptors. I don't know. I don't watch sports, but yeah, it's I'm pretty sure. Represents that we are a city in a forest. Really? Dang, it looks like that sounds like a Pokemon village. Let's see. Oh yeah, going back to the dialect. Last week when it was cold out and you put a knitted cap, what do you call the knitted cap? A knitted cap? You mean like a toque? What the frick is a knitted cap? Hold up. What the frick is a knitted cap? A knitted cap? That just makes me think of like a cap. Yeah, no, those are toques. I've never heard it called a knitted cap. When you said knitted cap, I instantly thought of like a baseball cap that was knitted. Does that make sense? Wait, a knitted baseball. Is that what it's called? Baseball? I don't wear hats. A baseball cap? Yeah, like that. I thought you meant like a knitted. Yeah, like this. This is what I thought you meant when you said a knitted. Yeah, like this. I've actually seen these. A knit baseball cap. I thought that's what you meant. Yeah, now in Canada we call them toques. Like this we call toques. I don't know what we call this. Yeah. A knitted cap is crazy, actually. No, this is when you said that. This is what I thought. This is what I was thinking. I'm like, what? Let's see. Yeah, if I was wondering, toque is so strange. We say beanie. Okay. Yeah. I think we also say beanie. No, beanie's a little bit different. We use beanie as well, but beanies are not the same as a toque. If you like Zom, help me out here a little bit. Like, can you like a beanie is like a lighter. You know what I mean? Like a beanie is I guess not. But I guess I don't know. For me, I don't know. I don't really know about caps. Maybe I'm tripping. But for me, like a beanie is just like lighter. You know what I mean? Like you can use it like they're thinner is what I mean. Not lighter, like thinner. Like you can wear that in like whatever, like temperature wise. You know what I mean? Like it's. But a toque is like heavy duty. I mean, that's my understanding. Maybe I'm tripping, but like I said, my cap knowledge is not. I don't have full knowledge when it comes to caps. You need to see the Michael movie, Fan or Not. Yeah, we call those beanies in America. How's it going, Dante? Beanie, I was confused at first when it was, but I knew always what a toque always was. Yeah. To me, a beanie is just like a thinner version, but I don't know. Maybe I'm tripping. But no, in Canada, yeah, we call them toques. Like these heavy duty ones, those are toques, bro. Well, not this one. What was the other one? Yeah. Wes, do you think Silent Hill Downfall would be great? Nah, I don't think so. Love Canada. Shout out to Vanos Gaming. Yo, Vanos Gaming. Yo, my little brother used to watch Vanos Gaming all the time, I remember. But anyways, boys, let's lock in. We're actually going to... Wait. Did I mute myself? No, I muted my stream. Okay, hold up. Like, I muted my, like, what I was hearing. So I'm like, why did it get all quiet all of a sudden? But anyways, boys, we're going to start with the dissection. We're first going to be starting out with this one. So let's see. I do want to bring up some stuff, though. So hold up. Okay. Let's start. All right. Getting ready, boys. We're getting ready. What time is it? It's 2. Okay, I have 2 hours. So that's an hour of video max, okay? I can't go past that. I gotta lock in. I don't even know if we're gonna be able to play, so I don't want to go super fast, but I also don't want to take freaking forever for like because you guys know me, okay? You know what? I don't think we're gonna be talking about this for too long. This trailer has so many problems. I don't know, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. All right. Let's pause the music. We gotta lock in. Hold up. I'm on dual PCs here, so I gotta keep switching my key and mouse and key. What game modes would you like to see in RE9 other than Mercenaries? I think people were saying raid mode. Raid mode would be kind of nice. All right, boys. All right. we're gonna be watching the new freaking Zach Creggers official teaser trailer. It's worth noting I already watched this when it came out, but obviously we're going to be dissecting it. We're going to be looking at all the problems. I do want to say a huge shout out to Shinigami on Discord, because he did tell me one specific thing that I thought was crazy that he saw. Like I said, I only watched the trailer one time, but he noticed one thing that we also was already confirmed months ago when on the set photos that were kind of shot in Prague. When they were filming over there. So yeah, we are going to be looking at that stuff. I also want to preface as well, as I stated at the beginning of the stream, if you guys are excited for this movie, that's fine. I don't really have an issue with that. You can be excited about that. You know, there's a lot of Resident Evil fans that like the Milla Jovovich movies. They like Welcome to Raccoon City. I'm one of the Resident Evil fans that, you know what I mean? I thought it was kind of mid. It's fine. I don't care. There's a lot of Milla Jovovich movies. A lot of them are kind of dumb fun movies. Doesn't really matter to me if you like it. You know, you're allowed to like really bad material, really bad video game adaptations. My only issue is if you're defending this movie as if it's going to be a good video game adaptation. That to me is a problem, because you're basically ignoring all of the evidence that points to the contrary. But anyways, that's basically what I wanted to state, but let's get started. Is the audio there? Are we good with audio? I don't think I'm hearing anything. Hold up. I don't think I'm hearing anything. 1 second. I'm going to play it here and see if I hear it. Yeah, there's no audio playing. Okay, 1 second. 1 second. 1 second. Okay. 1 second. It's my Elgato, bro. Elgato does this sometimes. Yeah, my volume is on there. It's also set to Elgato, so I don't know why it's doing this. I'm going to have to just reset it. There we go. Yeah, me going on the app just literally reset the thing, but then it just shut off. What? Okay, hold up. I'm just going to reset it here. Let's see. Elgato. There we go. All right. Okay, now there's stuff. We got it. I'm going to go back here. Okay, now there's sound. Why did I not have sound? Talk to Elgato. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not too hot for this movie. Everything I've heard and read so far, not even including the script leak. Yeah, I think the first frame confirms that it isn't a direct adaptation. Snow in Raccoon City automatically shows it isn't accurate. However, a Midwestern mountain city should have snow in September. Yes, a lot of people were kind of coping with that. It's interesting. People are still coping with that answer, that this is actually, it's not set in Raccoon City. It's like, no, guys, it's already been confirmed that it is taking place in Raccoon City. As discussed, we already got set photos of Prague being essentially the Raccoon City of this movie. So the idea that there's that, like the snow is just because it's in a mountain village, it's just pure copium at this point. There's no evidence that suggests this. If anything, there's a lot of counter evidence that, again, it's already been confirmed that this is going to take place in Raccoon City. We're kind of on the subject there, but I also heard too that the director was kind of stating that this movie can live and coexist with the games. There's already several issues with that, right? I mean, I'm just going to name them right from the get-go. On the set photos, we actually saw that there was several instances where there was cars that were post-2011 that were on set of Raccoon City. On top of that, we also see in this trailer, like I said earlier on in the video, shout out to Shinigami, but he noticed that Austin Abrams, which is the character that we see here, we see him have a phone, using a phone light, right, from his like iPhone or whatever. Again, if this game is going to be in between the events of Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3, for Zach Creggers fanboys, that is illogical, because every Resident Evil fan knows that, as Lord Vigar said, it takes place in 1998, specifically in September, right? We also looked at the data as to all of the Midwestern towns, and there's no chance that there's going to be snow. On top of that, if you guys missed my previous video, we also saw that in Prague, it actually doesn't snow until, I think, December. So this is fake snow, by the way. This is not real snow on the city streets. So yeah, it's really strange. Like, and this is coming from a Canadian, right? In Canada, we usually get snow around, like, I think the Halloween kind of time. And I've lived in several parts of Canada. So again, and that's even more north than the Midwest. So again, there's issues there, right? So again, why would you need to add snow? There's literally there's no reason for it, logical reason to add snow. But anyways, we got to continue, boys. Let's go. I just wanted to add that because that's a serious problem. Yeah, they love to break the lore in these movies. Yeah. 1998, a day I'll never forget because I got my first iPhone. Mr. Quadruple XL. Yeah, we're going to see.
Hello? I had a little bit of a problem on the road. I was wondering if I could use your phone. Hello?
All right, very 1970s kind of decor here. Is all of the taxidermy things, is that just a really crappy detail of like RE2 mansions with all the taxidermy from Irons? Is that what the director's just trying to throw out there? I hope not.
Hello?
And there we go, boys. We have freaking Constantine films. This is what I'm talking about, right? Because this was also a misconception that a lot of Resident Evil fans had. They're like, oh yeah, this is going to be a movie by Sony. It's going to be completely different. No, it's the same producers. They've literally tried to reboot the series 3 times in the past 5 years.
Yes, we're sorry.
Hey babe, look, I'm really sorry that we got disconnected earlier, but
What does this thing say? Medical. I only catch the medical there. Is that just me? I'm only seeing medical. So this is part of the leaks. We already knew that this was leaked months ago. And this is something that I talked about in my previous video, right? Is that when it comes to Resident Evil movie leaks, they have a way better track record, like way better track record as opposed to Resident Evil game leaks that are all just complete nonsense and just people just making educated guesses online. But yeah, this is pretty bad. All right, one second. I'm actually just gonna get something else. I forgot about this tool that I have, so I'm just gonna bring it up now. Here we go. Okay.
I'm really sorry that we got disconnected earlier, but some things have happened. Some things have happened.
Yeah, so here in the back, it seems like he's running away from zombies. Now, this is something that was very interesting because Zach Creggers specifically said, and this was actually seen on Instagram, I'm pretty sure, but he said that he wouldn't call this a new film, a zombie movie. Now, he does state this on the full IGN kind of breakdown that he does. I saw kind of a clip of this. We're going to be going over the full video of that, but he did specifically state that there's only 2 zombie scenes in this whole entire movie. And the scenes that are showcased the scenes where the zombies are running and stuff, which again is a huge lore issue when it comes to Resident Evil, because that's not what makes the T-virus zombies dangerous. What makes them dangerous is that they're really freaking incredibly strong. They grab you, and these slow-moving zombies, when they get close and you're ganged up, that's an issue, right? You're not going to be able to just like, push them away. No, these guys are freaking strong, right? This is one of the reasons, or one of the scenes that I really liked about Welcome to Raccoon City was when there was a scene in the mansion where Chris, the guy playing Chris Redfield, was essentially pushing all of the zombies away from him, and he was using all of his strength to just get away. That was good. That was part of the lore, right? So again, seeing how this director just keeps making excuses to not follow anything and says that he's not going to be breaking any major stuff when we're seeing freaking literal snow, freaking zombies running.
I'm in like a
and
fucked up
apparently
situation.
we're not going to have any zombies in this movie at all. That's a little bit questionable. I don't know how Zach Creggers fans are going to be able to cope out of this one. But yeah, it's really, yeah, there's a problem there, right?
Right now. And it looks like there's a chance that we might not get to talk to each other again.
Now, as mentioned, I've already seen this, but the memes that have been kind of coming out through this have just been hilarious. Like, there's so many funny memes about this. Like, I've seen, oh, when you accidentally make eye contact with someone through the bathroom stall, like, people are just like, they're making fun. And it's funny. Like, it's literally, it's so dumb. It's so dumb. And look at the copium here, too. I've also seen IGN, or no, this is Covered Geekly. They said that some fans think Resident Evil secretly tells the origin of the merchant from RE4. Yeah, because, wait, there's a real huge issue with this. The merchant literally is British, bro. He's doing like a British accent, okay? Now, you could say that it's a really bad British accent. That's fine, because it's not great. But hey, he's trying to be British. That's kind of like our idea. We don't really know too much about the merchant, but him being in Raccoon City makes zero sense. I don't even know how people are coming up with this nonsense. It just seems like copium. If I'm being 100% honest, there is some sort of idea that this director has some semblance or some understanding of the Resident Evil games, when that's literally not the case. But we're going to look at his interview later. I just wanted to mention that since we're looking at the memes of this freaking horrendous looking BOW. This is another thing too, is that this is people that kind of messaged me about seeing the leaks, because I'm not reading the leaks. I have like the leak script. I have no time for that. I could care less, honestly. But this, a lot of people were saying that the monsters that show up have absolutely nothing to do with the T-virus. So again, this director is taking a ton of liberties, coming up with rando freaking monsters that he probably thinks are cool, and he's just going to add it into his own Resident Evil movie that has nothing to do with Resident Evil. Here we see a bunch of zombies. Looks like they were running at him.
Wanted you to know.
Again, and by the way, that is confirmed that zombies do run, because again, we saw the scene in Prague. Behind the scenes, there was some film crew that were taking videos, or it could have also been somebody in the apartment building on the second floor of the Prague streets of Raccoon City. And again, this is, you can't be having fast-moving zombies. I've also seen a bunch of Zach Creggers fanboys that have been trying to defend this fast-moving zombies by stating that it's Crimson Heads. Again, problem with Crimson Heads is that they're red, right? For those of you that don't know, Crimson Heads are, we kind of saw a version of them in Resident Evil 9, right? The Blister Heads. But yeah, Crimson Heads, they turn pretty much red. And we've only seen them in Resident Evil 1 Remake and as well as Operation Raccoon City. And again, you could expand that to Resident Evil 9, but they look completely different in Resident Evil 9. So yeah, they basically were the only zombies that could essentially sprint at you. If you killed them and you didn't burn the zombies, especially on harder difficulties, they would come back aggressive way faster, right? I mean, they still come back in normal difficulty. Again, this is the Resident Evil 9 stuff here. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about, right? So again, they're red. That's basically their MO. They're not red, these zombies, right? The zombies that we saw running on the streets were not red. And here we see all the zombies kind of running on top of the thing. We're also seeing some sort of baby. Is that, I don't know what's going on here with the baby, yo. Is it just me? This looks like a baby. Yep, and this is, the zombies are just blowing up. That's it.
I love you.
Yeah, Lady Bio. What's up, Lady? Yeah, Lady says hence their, yeah. Literally, yeah. Yeah, hence their name, Crimson. Yeah. It's a huge part of their name. Thank you for that, yes. Yeah, it looks like a baby rising out of a bathtub. Very modern looking cars for 1998. Exactly. That. Thank you for catching that. This is something that we saw. Thank you, I Hate Crossley, for showing that. Yes, this is something that we discussed. This was months ago, right, on the set pictures. But yes, the literal cars are not from 1998. And also, where was that scene? Yeah, the scene right here was with his phone. That's the scene that my viewer was stating earlier. I didn't really look at that. I was just kind of distracted at looking at all this nonsense.
I just wanted you to know.
might be earlier, actually. I don't know. Yep, those are all cars that are not from 1998. So this is the thing, right? When you have a director who's saying that this movie can live within the canon, that you can basically play Resident Evil 2, play Resident Evil 3, and watch this movie, and you can basically, they can coexist. When there's several issues, like there's freaking snow, all right? There's freaking snow in Raccoon City. There's freaking zombies that are running. There's freaking, what else? There's freaking cars that are like literally in the future. This is 1998. What the frick are we doing with cars? And it's also funny too how at the start of the trailer, we freaking saw him going into this old looking house and then going on a phone, right? This is like old timey. What are these, like landline phones? Like what, why do we have this if there's freaking cellular phones here? Now you guys can't see, hold up. You guys can't see what I'm saying, but like, yeah, like he's talking on the phone here. On these old freaking rotary, they're not rotary phones. They're just like normal, like, yeah,
disconnected earlier.
Landline phones. Like, what are we doing here? Yeah, this is him literally going in the streets of Raccoon. Again, there's snow everywhere.
I'm in Legacy.
And also, too, before I hear the Zach Creggers fanboys that are going to try to defend this nonsense, because they are, it's worth noting that if it takes place in the same time as Resident Evil 2 and 3, it has to take place in what, September 27th to September 30th, right, of 1998? Because October 1st is when the whole place basically blows up. So, again, how can there be snow? How could it be cold weather for this guy? So much so that he's wearing a whole freaking outfit. He's not coming from the mountains. He's in Raccoon City. And then you have characters that are basically like going around as if it's literally, you know what I mean, not cold. Like freaking Jill Valentine's like outfit in RE3, whether it's the remake or it's the OG. Literally, like this is not a winter outfit. Like, sorry, I don't know what to say here. The copium is just like it's crazy. So there's so many problems with this
situation right now.
And I don't know how you can defend this at all. RE2 was 29th to September 30th. Thank you. Yeah, but was RE3 also in September? Wasn't it September 27th? RE3 timeline, day timeline. September 28th to October 1st. Okay, that's what I meant. Yeah, that's what I was kind of going over. So yeah, 29th to the 30th, because obviously, but then Jill kind of has a pass out right moment fighting Nemesis and stuff, whether it's the OG or the remake. So yeah, again, like it's not 1998. Also, yeah, there we go. There's the phone. But I was also gonna say, what's with the guns too? Are these guns also the same time? What gun does he have? Do we have any gun guys? Yeah, that's definitely a phone. That's definitely a phone. So again, shout out to my viewer Shinigami. Again, another issue in the long outstanding issues that we see here.
There's a chance that we might not get to talk to each other again.
And then here we have freaking Mr. X's freaking fat freaking obese cousin here, who I bet you is not gonna move like Mr. X. He's not gonna act like Mr. X. I mean, how is this guy gonna move? Yeah. Okay.
I just wanted you to know.
Another modern car. Yeah, September in Midwestern US is actually fairly warm. It stays warm until roughly mid-November. Thank you. Yeah, that's something we were kind of looking at in months ago, right? We were kind of looking at all of the temperature-wise, because in Canada, it starts to get cold, right? It's fall. But, you know, you wouldn't be wearing that kind of outfit. And obviously, since he's wearing outfits that look more like in December time, I'm assuming November, right, in Midwestern United States. I'm in Canada, so yeah, it gets cold during that time, right? Like, just for context, whenever it's like Halloween time, like Halloween kids are always going around. It's either that they get lucky and they can get away with using like their costumes without wearing a winter jacket, but like most of the time they're wearing their winter jackets, right? So he reminds you of Insane Cancer from Silent Hill 3. Actually, I've never played Silent Hill 3. Hold up, let me see. Insane Cancer, RE3. Oh, sorry, Silent Hill 3. Let's see. I'm not even sure. Yeah, let's view image. What is this? Okay. Yeah. Yeah, you know what? I think you're right. Yeah, he does. And by the way, Silent Hill 3, I gotta play it. I gotta play OG Silent Hill. I also gotta play it, but I have to beat OG Silent Hill 1 because that was my first Silent Hill. That was my first survival horror game as a kid. I played it with my mom. Never beat it. Never went back to it. I need to beat that game, and then I'll play Silent Hill 3. We gotta do that,
I love you.
It's also interesting, too, because the leak suggested that this was a medical courier that was going to Raccoon City, and he was en route to basically transfer a heart or something. I think that's what the leak suggested. Again, you guys can check out my previous videos on that. But what's interesting here is that, yeah, like what is his plan here? He's going to Raccoon City. He's going to go try to deliver an organ. Like, is he actually going to find any like survivors? One thing that I kind of mentioned in my previous video too that was kind of concerning was that it seems like by the statements of what Zach Creggers has stated, it almost seems like he might be going for a post-apocalyptic route. Very similar to what Netflix Resident Evil did, right? With they kind of jumped back and forth to 20 years, but point is that it was post-apocalyptic, and then we go all the way obviously to Resident Evil Extinction, where it was just post-apocalyptic, just a generic kind of I guess zombie kind of post-apocalyptic thing. It seems like that might be the case, but I hope not, because that's just it's so un-Resident Evil, right? I mean, it's worth noting no Resident Evil game has had a post-apocalyptic vibe where, you know, the whole world is plunged into chaos and, you know, normal life can't go back. It's basically The Last of Us. That's not Resident Evil. The closest we've been to it is obviously when evil villains are about to unleash a post-apocalyptic world, like, for example, Wesker, right, in Resident Evil 5. But obviously the bad guys always stop these kind of outbreaks, right? But also more recently with Resident Evil 9, where we had kind of going back to Raccoon City after it had been blown up, it kind of gave vibes of like a post-apocalyptic, but obviously it isn't. This is just a remnant of a city that got blown up because there was an outbreak, right? But Resident Evil is always about stopping the outbreak. It's not about living in a post-apocalyptic world where there's zombies like The Walking Dead or other media, like I said, like The Last of Us. That's not what Resident Evil is. And that's something that Constantine Films, a lot of the Resident Evil directors that say that they're fans can never quite grasp. So that's a little bit concerning to me. Now, as mentioned, I haven't read the script, but if there's any people that have read the script, let me know what you guys, if you guys are watching this live or you guys are watching this, watching the video of this, let me know. Is that what's going to happen? Because just based on what he said, it seems like that's the route that he's going to take. And that would not be surprising. As mentioned, Constantine Films has already tried 3 times to reboot this, right? They gave 29 million to Welcome to Raccoon City's Johannes Roberts in 2021. They gave 100 million to Netflix's Resident Evil. I don't know how much Constantine Films gave to Netflix, but I know that the budget of the movie was 100 million, or sorry, the show, I should mention. And then with this, I believe it's also 30 million, if I'm not mistaken. So anyways, they've put in a lot of money in the past 5 years to try to make gold, right? Because for those of you that don't know, that are unaware, the Mila Jovovich Resident Evil movies, that there were 6 of them, they ended up grossing, I think, close to $1.2 billion, not domestically, internationally, right? So that's why Constantine Films is on the grind. That's why they want to lock in and get another Resident Evil franchise. They want the same nonsense to come back. In fact, I'm actually kind of curious as to why they haven't just given it to Paul W.S. Anderson. If they, you know what I mean? I mean, they kind of did with Welcome to Raccoon City. But Paul W.S. Anderson, the director, Mila Jovovich's husband, was the executive producer. And for those of you that don't know, executive producers have a huge say on what happens on set, right? So, yeah, not good. Resident Evil is always about localized outbreaks, not global pandemics. Yeah, or like I said, Resident Evil 5 did have that whole thing, the whole master plan for Wesker to kind of infect the whole world, right? You can also see, too, in Resident Evil 4 with Sadler, right? That was the whole plan. It was to essentially get all of the world leaders to be infected with Las Plagas, and then everybody would be infected with the parasite, and Sadler would be able to control all of the world, right? So that was kind of like a world kind of, I guess, pandemic, if you will, or just like an outbreak where, you know, it's kind of post-apocalyptic. But as mentioned, I think Wesker is the closest that's been to actually enacting that, right? So, but again, Chris, Sheva, Jill, they stopped him right before but he was like on the plane, yo. He was like, it kind of reminds you of like, you know, Captain America. Like I think they were trying to, I don't know. Anyways, it's just on a plane. But anyways. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, hold up. We got a bot. I'm just going to get rid of that bot. We can cop and say that he looks like Whopper from Resident Evil 6 as well. Yeah, we can cope. Yeah, that's true. Yes, that's yeah. Don't tell the Zach Creggers fanboys.
Chris.
Don't tell the Zach Creggers fanboys. All right, guys. Sorry, we just got rid of a clanker there. But hold up. Let's see. Yeah, Whoppers from Resident Evil 6. These are the big chungus guys. Yeah, these are the big chungus. Why is it safe search here? I mean, these are just fat. These are just big chill guys. Yeah, really bad. Anyways, let's just finish this and then we'll move on to the actual breakdown, right? Zach Creggers breakdown. Boomers from Left 4 Dead. Yeah, pretty much. Yep. Yeah, Resident Evil 6 definitely got that because Left 4 Dead came out before then, right? All right. Okay, we're now going to be looking at Zach Creggers' kind of thing on this. We're going to be looking at his breakdown of his own trailer. Now, as mentioned, this guy, he keeps saying a lot of stuff that's been outing him as somebody who doesn't know what the frick he's talking about. This is apparent with the interview that he did months ago where he said he was basically calling Resident Evil fans like unhinged fans that are going to get upset at him for the movie that he's making. As mentioned months ago, it sounds like he's already poisoning the well. He's already kind of making excuses for his movie. He knows that his movie is not Resident Evil. I don't think he's stupid. I think he knows that, but I think he's trying to obviously market this movie as it is because that's basically Constantine Films' whole MO, right? They want fans to kind of promote this movie, right? They want them to come over here and watch this movie so that, again, they get $1 billion from casual fans across the world, right? But the problem with that idea, and this is the whole problem with this whole business plan from Constantine Films, the production company, the German production company, is that we're not in the early 2000s anymore, right? You can't get away with making dumb video game adaptations. That does not work. There's more gamers now. There's more gamers that are more vocal, more than ever. So this idea that, oh yeah, we're just going to make just a movie that we would make 20 years ago, that does not work. You're not going to get the same amount of sales. People are not going to watch your nonsense. And now the only thing that this movie has going for it, and this is an argument that I keep hearing Zach Creggers fans say, he made weapons. Well, he made barbarians. What the frick does that have to do with Resident Evil? All right, I don't care if this guy, you know what I mean? People said, oh yeah, it's kind of Resident Evil-esque. Those are horror movies. All right. And I've also heard from one of my viewers that he made a previous movie that was completely trash. Now, I don't know this guy's movies. I could care less because, as mentioned, this guy's not well known for making video game adaptation movies, right? This is a very different thing. Just because you make a horror movie does not make you can automatically make a good video game adaptation movie. That just isn't the case, right? Now, if this guy had made, I don't know, several video game adaptation movies, and now, he made two, award-winning video game adaptations, and then he was going to Resident Evil, then that argument would actually make more sense. Then I would actually be like, okay, well, you know what? He did a good job with making a movie, like, I don't know, just insert whatever popular game that there is right now. I don't know. Yeah, he did those two movies. I'm sure he'll know exactly what to do with Resident Evil because, he did such a fantastic job with those other movies. No, that's not the case. You're comparing apples to oranges here. That has absolutely no... It's a non sequitur. It has nothing to do with Resident Evil. Now, you might be saying, well, Resident Evil has a lot of inspiration from horror movies. Yeah, there's horror in Resident Evil, but it's not just a horror freaking like franchise. That's not what it is, right? It isn't. It's a survival horror video game franchise, and it's also a video game franchise. So again, you can't just treat it and just be like, oh yeah, I'm going to use the same thing just because it's a horror movie. That makes absolutely no sense. So that's one argument that I keep seeing a lot of Zach Creggers fanboys. Another argument that I keep seeing, and again, this is not just on my comments. I see them on Instagram. I see them on TikTok. I see them on YouTube. Is You get the Zach fanboys that say, oh, it's too early to judge. The trailer hasn't even come out yet. The movie hasn't even come out yet. You can't just judge. You can't judge the book by its cover if it hasn't even come out. Well, no, yeah, I can. I literally can judge it before. From what the director has officially stated about his own movie, what's been shown, what's been leaked from the set, I can look at set photos and see exactly if this is breaking major lore, and it has. It literally has. I'm looking at actual evidence here. Also, I can flip that around and say, why? You know what I mean? Like, what do you mean it's too early to why, like this? It's because these are the same Zach fanboys that always say, "Oh, well, you're being too negative." Well, you're also being too positive here. Like, where's all this faith coming from? Faith, like literally, like your faith. What's your evidence? As mentioned with the previous argument, is it just because this guy has 2 horror movies under his belt? What the frick does that have to do with a video game adaptation about Resident Evil? I'm sorry, but that does not give you. That should not be giving you any faith whatsoever. As mentioned before, it doesn't matter if you get the best writer in the world, you get the best director in the world, you get the best the writer, director, actors, doesn't matter. The problem here isn't that the cast or the crew is bad. I don't have an issue with them. My problem is with the production company who call the shots. They supersede. They have control over what this director is doing, right? Like if they don't like a direction that he's doing, they can just call him up and say, no, we don't like that. Change it to this, change it to that. Now, of course, Constantine Films has given him the ability to basically make his own movie. That's what's been stated. But of course, we don't know what happens behind the scenes. And it's also, if we look at the past with other movies, right, with production companies taking over and doing whatever they want, that's a very common thing in Hollywood. Now, the other thing too, with this argument, I actually saw one viewer who kind of, I have to give him credit here. His name is Lex Logic. He actually came up with a really great rebuttal that I saw in my comments about how people are saying it's too early to make a judgment on this movie. He basically said, imagine people who make that argument have to actually step in dog crap to know what it is. Since, it's not fair to judge it by the stink. This is a fantastic counter argument to this because, as mentioned, you don't need to step in the dog crap to know that it's crap. Right? That's basically what Lexi Logic is saying. Great analogy, by the way. Yeah, I can already tell by all of the hints. I can already tell what the director is saying. I can already tell based on what the production company has stated already. First, you know what I mean? They stated that, you know what I mean? Like I can already tell by everything that the production company has done over the years, right? Like they've been making crappy Resident Evil video game adaptations since what, 2002? 2002. And they've been trying really hard. In the last 5 years, they've made 3 Resident Evil reboots, right? We've had Welcome to Raccoon City, 2021. Netflix's Resident Evil, was that 2022, I believe? And then this one, 2026, right? So they've just been really, really going hard. Because why? Because they want to they don't care about the games. They don't care about the fans. All they care about is the money, right? It's very clear. So that's one of the arguments that I keep seeing. Another argument that we'll just go over because it's just really bad here. I get people that say that this reminds them of Resident Evil 7 and RE8. I've been seeing... Now, as somebody who is not the biggest fan of Resident Evil 7, that is super disrespectful to say that this movie reminds them of Resident Evil 7. I'm sorry, but what the freak does this remind you of for Resident Evil 7? Does the character have a no face? Is this all in first person? Are you going to be like the character? No, this is I would even argue that Resident Evil 7's biggest problem here is that the producer, which I forgot his name, he basically wanted the player to they wanted to make the player feel like the protagonist. Even though this isn't an RPG, you can't decide what you want to say. You can't decide what you want to do, except for that really weird choice at the end of the movie where you pick your wife to save or the rando girl that's been helping you throughout the game. And then it's worth noting that whatever choice you pick, there is a canon choice regardless of what you do, right? That's why we got the DLC with, you know what I mean, later on with Jack's brother and stuff. But anyways, I don't want to go too much into Resident Evil 7, but as mentioned, what does this have to do with Resident Evil 7? I've also seen one commenter who was stating that, oh, well, it's because this is like a new character. It's not like the original trilogy. It's kind of like, what? it's a new main character. We've literally had new main characters. Every Resident Evil game has introduced a new main character. There's also games that have just introduced only new main characters, like Resident Evil, I guess, Gun Survivor, Dead Aim. Like the list goes on. You could even say freaking Resident Evil, like, and if you like even Resident Evil 7, you do see old main character, so that doesn't make any sense. So again, comparing this to Resident Evil 7 and Resident Evil 8, I have no idea who started this. It makes absolutely no sense. Another thing too, I've also seen a lot of people who think that just because this guy, the director, has essentially said that this movie was going to be canon, right? No, like he didn't say that. He said that this movie can live with the canon, right? I'm paraphrasing here, but that's what he was essentially saying. He's basically saying that this movie can coexist with the games. Almost like you can play Resident Evil 2 and 3, and again, it can coexist with this movie. And we already talked about this just a couple minutes ago, but that's not the case when you have freaking literal cars that are like post 2011 that are on set. You have the guy using an iPhone. You have snow everywhere. You have different monsters going around. Like it's not the same thing. It doesn't live in the same universe, and it can't coexist because this guy, even though months ago he did specifically say that he wasn't going to break any major lore points, he already has. I should also reiterate, he also broke the rule of zombies running. That is not something that you see with the T virus in Resident Evil 2 or Resident Evil 3. This is something you see with Resident Evil 6, I would say, where the zombies are way quicker, right, with the C virus. But that's a separate topic. This has nothing to do with the C virus. This is supposed to be Raccoon City during 1998, and there's already several problems. Well, I don't know about you guys, but in 1998, did you guys have a freaking iPhone to use with the light? Did you guys use like 2011 cars to go around, or post 2011? Like it makes absolutely no sense. This cannot coexist with the lore of the games, right? Another argument that I keep seeing is that, when the Zach Creggers fanboys, I've noticed, whether it's on Instagram, whether it's on TikTok, whether it's on YouTube, when they start arguing with Resident Evil fans over about Resident Evil, which is a losing battle, why would you argue with a fandom that actually is part of the fandom? But they usually result to going to, Resident Evil fans are so annoying. That's what I've seen them say. Resident Evil fans are so annoying. Yeah, that's not an argument. That's literally not an argument. Why? Because you can't use all of these really bad arguments against RE fans. Yeah, because that's not gonna work, right? Even this guy, as mentioned, this guy had the freaking gall to say that, there's gonna be a bunch of people on the Resident Evil fans there's unhinged Resident Evil fans that are gonna come after me. It's like, really unhinged? Really, yeah. Like I don't think there's been any unhinged Resident Evil fans that I've seen. I think I've just seen fans that are like, "What do you mean this game that you're not breaking major lore points? You're not making like major story beats, or you're not breaking anything with the story. This movie that you're making has absolutely nothing to do with Resident Evil." Also, making that kind of argument of being like, people are going to crucify. He's already making excuses. Why? Because he already knows. He already knows he has no idea what the frick he's doing. He already knows that this movie's not going to be a Resident Evil movie. As mentioned, right, it kind of goes back to that theory that one of my viewers was kind of telling me months ago when he told me about the leaked script. This was like, 8 months ago? He told me about how, that it seems like Zach Creggers already was making this script. He was already going to make a movie that had Resident Evil-esque things, but it was inspired by Resident Evil, but it wasn't actually Resident Evil. And then he actually ended up getting the rights to make it, right? He ended up working with Constantine Films, who again have a horrendous track record. And now he's just he has authority to do whatever he wants, right? So, but it's worth noting though, this argument that Resident Evil, that this movie is going to be part of canon, or that it can coexist with canon, is absolute nonsense. I don't know where people are getting this. As mentioned, it seems like they're getting it just from his comments that it can coexist with the games, but even that is just complete nonsense. This is a separate universe, separate thing. The only reason it's part of the universe is because it has the Resident Evil name, right? And then we talked about that other argument too, about how he's done 2 amazing movies that have nothing to do with video game adaptations. And I also get the same thing about, stop being negative. And it's like, what are we being negative here? We're being realistic. We're looking at facts. We're looking at literal evidence that this is not going to be a Resident Evil movie, right? I've also seen some Resident Evil fans that have been falsely saying that they should be cautiously optimistic. We're past the point, guys, of being cautiously optimistic. Now, as I stated at the beginning of the video, you guys can like this movie. It could be a really bad video game adaptation and you can like it. I don't really care about that. You guys can do whatever you like. There's tons of people who like really bad video games. But let's not kid ourselves and say that it's a good, like video game, or it's a good movie based on a video game adaptation. That's when it goes into kind of like the delusional area, right? You're bordering on delusion at that point, because again, we already know that this is not going to be like the games. This is just going to be its own thing, right? So this is the arguments that I keep seeing being repeated over on social media. I keep seeing people trying to regurgitate these arguments on my comments. That's not going to go well, by the way. Yeah, as mentioned, that's not going to go well anywhere, because Resident Evil fans are going to they're going to slam dunk you there. That's like, these are horrendous arguments for this movie. As mentioned, you can like this movie if you want, but don't say that this movie is a good video game adaptation, or that you're going to be cautiously optimistic. There's nothing to be cautiously optimistic here. The only thing you could probably be is just optimistically not naive and like this movie, because you're just ignoring everything and putting literal blinders on your eyes and not seeing literal hard evidence that this movie has absolutely nothing to do with Resident Evil. But, you can still like it. I don't really care about that. As mentioned, I know tons of people who like the Resident Evil Milla Jovovich movies, Welcome to Raccoon City, even the Netflix Resident Evil, which I don't understand. Whatever, you can like them. I don't care, right? I think but let's not kid ourselves and say that those are masterpieces, or that those movies are fantastic video game adaptations. That's when we get into a problem, right? So, anyways, those are the comments. I also want to add too that it seems to me, I've also seen on several sites, I've been seeing several comments from really suspicious accounts that have been saying that this movie is that they're really excited to see this movie. I'm really hyped to see this movie. I think this movie is going to be great. And I'm not going to lie, it does seem to me like this is actually going to be, it seems to me like there's clankers. Like there's a bunch of bots. I don't know who's sending out a bunch of bots. It's probably the Zach Creggers fanboys, because as mentioned, these fanboys, they act just like him, right? They don't make good arguments. They complain. They literally make excuses upon excuses upon excuses. And it's just copium at that point, right? It's like I said, it's bordering on delusion when you're arguing with a Resident Evil fan who's actually part of the fandom and trying to tell them that they're wrong for stating that this is not Resident Evil. That's a huge issue, right? So, but it seems to me, I don't know who's doing the bots, but I'm seeing them on Insta, I'm seeing them on TikTok, I'm seeing them on YouTube. And it's very suspicious, very suspicious. Anyways, let's catch up to some chats. Let's do that. Yeah, I wouldn't have brought RE7 into it. I don't know how horror itself will automatically make it a Resident Evil movie if it's got nothing to do with the identity overall and its lore. Yep. I don't know any of y'all opinions since I just joined the RE movie. Just looks like a zombie movie with an RE slapped on it. Well, just Gary Snails, thank you for arriving. And I like how your name is. All right, it's been a while since I've seen you, man. Thank you so much. But that's actually something that was actually negated. This director recently said that Resident Evil director wouldn't call a new film a zombie movie. Now, we're going to look at the video right now, but he does specifically state that there's only 2 zombie scenes. And again, the zombies are portrayed incredibly incorrect, but they're seen in the trailer. So we've technically already seen the extent of the zombies that's seen. So calling it a zombie movie is actually incorrect. It's factually incorrect. You can't even call it a zombie movie. This is going to be a movie that's just going to be rando BOWs that all came from this guy. That's what it seems to me. Like, literally based on hard evidence, this is something that he specifically stated. It's not good. Yeah. They don't want to understand that we're not saying that it's a bad movie. We're saying that it's a bad Resident Evil. Exactly. That's a very good point, lady. Yeah, as mentioned, this could be a good movie, could be a good horror movie, but that's not the point here. This is supposed to be a video game adaptation movie. So if the goal of the movie is just to make another horror movie, you've already failed, right? As a director, you failed. As a writer, you've completely failed. So that's the core of the issue here. Exactly. Well said. Would RE fans want a faithful adaptation of their beloved franchise? How dare we? Yeah. That's another good point. Yeah, this whole idea that, Resident Evil fans, we can't even ask for the bare minimum. And also, too, there's another argument that I keep seeing from Zach Creggers fanboys. They have this idea that Resident Evil fans, that we just want the same. I've seen this argument for quite some time, actually, since I started making videos on this. But this argument has to do with people, the Zach Creggers fans, assume that Resident Evil fans, all we want is a 16-hour movie of the character going around and taking stuff and then, solving puzzles and going around, almost like we're watching a Let's Play. When has that ever been the case? And this is something that I stated in my previous videos. Like, have they not watched the RE CGI movies? Like, mind you, I like the Resident Evil CGI movies. For starters, they're canon. They don't break lore. Second, they're mid, but hey, they're good at least. And like I said, they don't have that issue. And also, those movies are like what, an hour and 20 minutes, maybe less. I think 90 minutes, an hour and 30 minutes of just a story that's in the Resident Evil universe that doesn't break any major lore points and that uses some characters that show up. That's another thing too. This guy's already confirmed that we're not going to get any characters in the Resident Evil, in this Resident Evil movie, which is interesting because now do we need characters, established characters? No, we literally don't. Because again, that's another argument that I keep seeing from these Zach Creggers fanboys is that, all they want is just a rehash of a game. So you guys just want a movie of Resident Evil 1, the Mansion incident. You guys, it's like, no, we don't. We don't need that. Hey, we would take it if it was like the SD Perry novels. Yeah, you could do it in an hour and stuff. We would prefer it if it was a show. But no, I think most RE fans would say that no, I think we would be content with a movie that shows us a new character that's in the Resident Evil universe, but that doesn't break major freaking lore points, right? That doesn't break the lore of the games. That can actually coexist with the source material. We would be fine with that. We wouldn't have any issues. But that's just the Constantine films doesn't put two and two together that as Resident Evil fans, we would be fine with that. But no, they do. We keep getting original movies, reinterpretations of the movies, director's versions of a movie, like AKA Mila Jovovich's husband, Paul W. Sanderson, the freaking Johannes Roberts, where he tried to do a little bit of Resident Evil 2. What did he do? He did Resident Evil 1 and 3, which is like one of the dumbest things you could do. Like, why not just do 2 and 3? Like, why do 1 and 3, right? That was one of the biggest problems. There's several issues with that movie, but there's several, that was one of the biggest contentions, right? And then now with this guy, he's like, I'm not going to have any zombies in Raccoon City. We're just going to have 2 scenes. They're going to be running. It's going to be in the middle of winter and snow. It's going to be like in 2011 or like not 1998 for sure. It's got to be post 2011. And then we'll just slap Resident Evil on it. It's going to be great. Yeah, it's not going to break any major points. What? Like, what are you talking about here? Like, it makes absolutely no sense. IG, it reminds them of RE7, RE8 as in them being disconnected this series with a random guy. But guess what? That's why I also don't like them. Yeah, but that's not a good argument too, because as mentioned, Resident Evil Survivor, right? Gun Survivor 1, Biohazard Gun Survivor had rando characters. Dead Aim had rando characters. So that's not a good argument, even from a Resident Evil standpoint. That's a horrendous argument. But I get what you're saying. Yes, as mentioned, I'm not even a big fan of RE7. I prefer RE8 over RE7, like way more. But again, that's a side point. That's a side tangent. It doesn't really matter here. But yeah, like for me, I like playing Assassin's Creed Shadows. I know it's not a good game. Most people don't like it. Exactly, right? Yeah, there's several pieces of media that you'll watch, and you know that it's like, no, nobody likes this movie, nobody likes this game, but I like it. I have a good time with it. That's fine. You can do that. Like I said, there's Resident Evil fans that like the Mila Jovovich movies. Is that a problem? No. They can like whatever they want. It's subjective, right, to you. So that's not an issue, right? I like how those fanboys are projecting their own mindset to regular RE fans of wanting an entire 69 game with puzzles. Yeah, that they're basically just making up arguments. As mentioned, Resident Evil fans don't want that. We just want something that doesn't break the lore, right? Now, whether you have actual like a reinterpretation or like a reimagining of a game, that's up to you. If you want to make an original event that's in between the games, hey, that would be great too. I don't think anybody's complaining about that. What we're complaining about is that why does this production company keep making slop? Literal slop, right? That's the biggest issue. I'd even take a lore movie, like showing what happened before RE1. Exactly, yeah, like George Trevor backstory and what happened to his family or something, and maybe show the outbreak in the mansion. Yep. As mentioned, I think no Resident Evil fan would have an issue with that if you had it in between the games. If novels or comics can get the movie adaptations with its story, why is it wrong to do the same with games? Yep, another excellent point. Yep. It just boggles my mind that so many different people came up with the same idea of let's slap the name on Resident Evil that has nothing to really do with it. Yeah, and as mentioned, right, this is the issue that I have with the Zach Creggers fandom is that these fanboys is that they're just really you can't say anything against Zach Creggers. You say anything, even though as mentioned, everything I've stated is 100% facts. This has come from his mouth, like directly about the stuff that he said. I've quoted him. You can check my previous videos on the actual like specific quote because yes, I paraphrased a lot of the times. But like I said, this is basically what he stated. They get upset. It's almost like they get so upset. It's almost like, oh, you can't talk about Zach Creggers because you're talking negatively about my boyfriend. It's almost like that. It's almost like that kind of intensity. And it's like, what? Like he's a director. He's not your friend, dude. He's not your friend. Another thing too is that I also mentioned this weeks ago, but it also reminds me of the leaker situation as well when it comes to Resident Evil, right? Leakers are also the leaker Resident Evil fans that trust Resident Evil leaks with their life and treat Resident Evil leakers as if they're oracles, as if they're like cult leaders. It's a huge problem as well because you say anything against like factual evidence you showcase, they have a fit on you. They literally have a fit on you. Yeah. But anyways, let's continue, boys. Let's actually watch the thing. But yeah, that's basically what I wanted to say. That's the preface. That's the preface of this. But anyways, let's get started.
Sure, bar none, my most visually gonzo movie. All right, I'm Zach Creggers. This is the teaser for Resident Evil, which is coming out September 18th. Okay, so basically, my rule for this movie was to just try and make a movie that felt like my experience of playing the games, that could live in the world of Resident Evil.
Okay, so this is something that he's already reiterated before. This is incredibly subjective because if you don't state what your experience is through playing the games, if you're not getting a better way of saying this as a director would be like, I wanted to share the experience that most Resident Evil fans have when playing Resident Evil. I wanted to translate that on film. That's not what he's saying. He said, I wanted basically to share my experience. Isn't that what he said just now?
Try and make a movie that felt like my experience of playing.
My experience. He doesn't say the general experience of playing a Resident Evil game. He says my experience. That, again, is subjective to the person, right? I don't know what the frick Zach's playstyle is. I don't know if he's even played the video games. Now, he said he's played the video games. I'm not going to take him at face value here. Based on what I've seen, it seems like he has not played any of the video games. I'm not even going to go so far as to say that. I'm sorry, but like a lot of the stuff that he's shown, the stuff that he's made so far, it seems like, he's basically watched the Let's Play and called it a day, if I'm being 100% honest. But again, you can't, this is something he stated several months ago, is my experience. No. You want to have the general experience of Resident Evil fans when you're making a Resident Evil movie, right? Because, for instance, even my experience is different from your experience. For instance, you guys have watched me play Resident Evil games. Do I ever get scared? No. So if I made a Resident Evil movie through my experience, is it going to be scary? Maybe for you, it's going to be incredibly scary. But for me, I'm just going to lock in on other pieces of stuff. No. I would want to go into that side of being scary. I want it to be so that everybody has the similar experience of going through a game. The general consensus of their experience is all shared across, right? I'm going to go through everyone's experience as as a combined experience, right? Not just my experience. So that right there is already an issue.
Of Resident Evil. So this, I feel like this movie takes place alongside the events of Resident Evil 2. I like to think that, everything that's going on in the police station could be happening in this world. This is just another dude on another mission on the other side of town.
Yeah. So again, other problem with this, the Zach Creggers fanboys do not understand this. As stated, it's not snowing in Raccoon City. There's no fast moving zombies in Raccoon City. Right? There's no made up BOWs that come from Zach's minds in Raccoon City. You don't have 2011 cars in 1998, September 28th to September 30th of 1998 in Raccoon City in the games. So how can you have an experience that coexists with the games if that's not the case, right? Like we see him with the freaking iPhone or a smartphone later on in the trailer. That's a huge issue. That's a huge problem. How do you cope with defending this? Like, again, this is the same arguments that I keep seeing, right? Why so much hate for this one? You seem to literally bias hate. Okay, yeah, okay. I blocked you already, man. Get lost. Yeah, this guy's one of the most coping guys. Yeah, you're getting out of here. Anyways, very cryptic and shallow. Yeah, Lady Biohazard Rowe will be making a fan film on the subject. It's ironic the defenders make us saying that we want the character solve puzzles, while the director here is basically saying he wants to emulate the gameplay. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a very good point. Yeah, awesome. IG real fans think alike. 50 has multiple times got on Resident Evil 7. All right. Anyways, let's continue. I'm going to switch my PC here. 1 second.
And like what's going on with him. So yeah, I mean, it's not canon in that I'm not using the characters, but it's canon in that it lives in the actual, day of reckoning and lives in. Yeah, I mean, it's not side of town and like what's going on with him. So yeah, I mean, it's not canon in that I'm not using the characters, but it's canon in that it lives in the actual, day of reckoning.
No, you can't say that. So he's basically saying that it's not canon that he's using characters from the games like Leon, Claire, or even the Outbreak games. You can't. No, that's not what's happening, right? Like he's saying that, oh yeah, it's not because I'm not using characters, but it's canon in the way that it can coexist with the game. Again, you can't say that. You can't say that. Like any sane person, any logical person with a sound mind can literally look at all of the problems. What is he doing having a smartphone in 1998? You can't get away with saying this nonsense on an interview. Like, what? This is literally it's funny how he was saying that Resident Evil fans are basically unhinged, or I'm paraphrasing here. As mentioned, watch my previous video on his direct, what he says specifically. But it's like, what are you saying here?
Of reckoning and Raccoon City. So he, this movie follows the characters. He's outside of Raccoon City. He's got to get into the center of it, and we're kind of with him as he goes through this gauntlet of set pieces as he gets deeper and deeper into town, and so what I love about
that kind of reminds me too. I also saw another cope answer of one Zach Creggers fanboy kind of say that, oh well, it's in the north of town. So it's in the north of the town. So because it's in the north of the town, that's why it's snowing. It's like, no, he just said right now that he's going into the center of town. And so he starts out in the outskirts.
We're kind of with him as he goes through this gauntlet of set pieces as he gets deeper and deeper into town.
Yeah, deeper into town. I'm sorry, but again, it goes back to my point. Literally all of the Resident Evil characters were not dressed up in winter clothing. That was not the case. It's completely contradictory.
What I love about the games is that, every set piece brings with it unique new horrors.
Every set piece? What does he mean by set piece? Hold up. What does he mean by set piece? I want to search up what he's talking about here. Like a new location? What is he? Okay, here we go. So it basically says, in film and entertainment, iconic self-contained scenes like chases, fights, or big dance numbers that often require unique locations. Yeah, so locations is what he's saying. So he's basically saying that every location has a new thing to offer. Wow. Okay. Thank you, detective.
So I just wanted to...
Is that what he's saying?
Brings with it unique new... what I love about the games is that, every set piece brings with it unique new horrors.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so every location brings in new horrors. Yeah, because you're getting deeper into the game and you're fighting different BOWs. Okay, yeah. All right.
And
way
so
to state the obvious.
I wanted the rhythm to feel like it was always changing, it was always shifting. You were always facing increasingly bigger dangers, and you had to be aware of resource management and health and things like that. So I really did use a lot of cues from the games on how to build this thing out. And so yeah, it's a love letter to the games, which I fully obsessively love.
Yeah, it's it's a love letter to the games. All right, yeah. It's a pretty shitty love letter, I'll tell you that much.
So one of the things that I love about Resident Evil is the
Yeah, I think he just means see my scene. No, he meant like location. Yeah. Did he just contradict himself? Never mind, you liked him already. Yeah. No, yeah. That guy I know already.
From gun to gun to gun.
He's just he's a Zach Creggers fanboy.
Here, Evil's the fully obsessively loved. All right, so one of the things that I love about Resident Evil is the graduation from gun to gun to gun. So you can see in the first shot here, he's got a pistol. That's the first weapon that he acquires. As he progresses, he'll graduate to the shotgun, and then ultimately he'll get an MP5. That's one of the fun things about playing these games is whenever you get the new weapon, you're like, oh, fucking thank God. Thank God. And so his character kind of has that reaction as he does it. A lot of this movie is like third person, you know, so there's a Steadicam following Austin, our actor, and it was really a dance between him and our camera operator. So, you know, when I had a really wide lens and we're kind of over his shoulder, and so when he looks left, we like pivot around to look left, and when he looks right, we swing around and look right. So I really tried to incorporate just the visual language of the games into the movie. There's also, you know, a fair amount of first person shooter stuff in this movie that is, you know, the games utilize sometimes, but really just like you're behind the character.
Okay. Did anybody hear like problems with that? Did anybody hear any problems just with what I just heard just now? Did anybody hear any problems? Let's go back. I want to hear what you guys think
First person
of what I just heard.
Shooters
From Resident Evil fans' point of view, what's the problem with this?
There's also,
because I've seen some problems.
A fair amount of first person.
Just so that the Zach Creggers fanboys that watch this movie, this video, that they know that it's not just me that's seeing issues here.
Shooter stuff in this movie that is, you know, the games utilize sometimes, but really just like you're behind.
Yeah, right there. Is anybody want to take a stab at the issue that he just said? Even if he wants to emulate the gameplay, that's literally every survival horror game. So what makes RE specifically? You know what? That's one of the first problems that I have with what he was saying. He's saying that it's going to be in third person. Like, isn't like every movie in third person? Now, when he said that sometimes he has over the shoulder, okay. But like third person is crazy. Like, I'm sorry. Like, and then him saying, sure, Dead Aim got Survivor, Umbrella Chronicles, and Dark Side Chronicles. Yep. Yeah, but it's like, why does he say some games? That's my issue. Why does he say some games? Just
the visual language of the games into the movie.
There's why does he say some games?
A fair amount of first person shooter stuff in this movie that is, you know, the games utilize sometimes, and
sometimes the games utilize sometimes, yeah.
But really,
I don't know, when he said that, it kind of seemed like he was like, it seemed to me like he was thinking from like a newer fan's perspective. Like he's thinking of RE7 and RE8. Is that just me?
Just like you're behind the character, and when they look right, you look right. When they look up, you look up, and just letting that be the most common visual language of the game.
Yeah, this is a little bit like, there's no examples so far that I've seen in the trailer where it's kind of looking like from a third person perspective, or where you see like a character kind of walking down, you know what I mean, like a thing, or you know what I mean, like obviously he said there's going to be first person, but you know, if you were a really RE fan, wouldn't you want to do like fixed camera angles or something, you know what I mean, like have those kinds of shots, kind of those nods and stuff. Who knows, maybe that's the case, but he's only focused on just third person and just being over the shoulder. Like right now we kind of saw Austin Abrams' character kind of go down the thing and was over here, but it wasn't from like a perspective, like, you know what I mean, just like how you're playing the games and you're seeing your character kind of walking, right? Or you know what I mean, you know what I'm talking about. So that's another issue. It seems like he has never played any of them until RE2 Remake and onward. Yeah, it seems like what he was saying there is, it seems he was thinking his confidence dropped dramatically when he said sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, he could have, like Lord Vlaglar said, he could have specified and been like, you know what I mean, Gun Survivor, Dead Aim, Umbrella Chronicles, Dark Side Chronicles, 7, 8, you know what I mean? Why did he say sometimes? I don't know. That's
it's very much from the game.
It's very sus. Yeah, all he mentions in it excuse him to have only played RE7 in Euro games. I'm not dogpiling on him, just that he's missing lots from previous games. Yeah. You can tell that his confidence dropped really quick. Anyways, let's go back and listen.
The common visual language of the movie, I should say, is very much from the games. This is for sure, bar none, my most visually gonzo movie by far.
Give me 1 minute and you'll get rid of this stuff.
Okay, hold up. I don't want to watch this ad. To be honest, I would love a video game adaptation to have at least 1 or 2 scenes that put the camera in over the shoulder angle, just like the game. Exactly, right? You know, kind of like how when you see freaking like, you know, I love in the games when you see kind of Leon walking around like that, like his like that kind of a scene, but from like the same as like when we're controlling the character, right? Or like if he's running from something, like RE2 remake, RE6 used this kind of momentum, right? RE2, what was I gonna say? RE4. RE4 with like the boulder scene where he's running, right? And then he's just, you know, you got to keep pressing and then you got to dodge, right? And he goes like that or whatever. Or you see RE2 remake kind of had the same thing with the alligator, right? When you have to go to the left and then you go to the right. And then after, you know what I mean? Like you're running or RE6, right? You're just, you know, you're running an RE6. These are all things that he could have been talked about that would have been like, oh yeah, this guy knows the games. Yeah. Or he's like the fixed camera angles. I wanted to add freaking fixed camera angles, freaking third freaking camera angles, freaking first person camera angles, because that's literally Resident Evil. I wanted to add all of those little nods to the games, right? As a director, you'd be like, oh shoot, all right, I'm freaking hyped. But him saying, yes, yeah, first person sometimes. Yeah, it's like, what? Is that give us a sentence that would be that will bring in the fans? Sure, this is by far the most Gonzo movie. Yeah, no, that's not even a good sentence to bring in the fans, because he's just saying from his movie career, and it's like, okay, again, like what is that? Like from that, like even if they had said that, like that's not gonna sell the fans. Nobody cares about that. Like when he said Gonzo, like what, the zombies falling from the thing, like okay, like how is that Resident Evil? You know what I mean? Like that's just Zach being Zach, it seems. And I've never watched a Zach movie, so correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know. Project Wesker, let me give you a different video game adaptation made by a huge fan back in 2014 called Street Fighter Assassin's Fist. Yeah, I don't know anything about Street Fighter, so I'm not into that. Yeah, it's exactly, it's a bad hype line. Yeah. I mean, I get why he might be talking in civilian terms for the interview to be accessible for general audience, but he doesn't sound confident when comparing it. No, that's what I'm saying, right? His confidence, it incredibly dropped. This guy, you know, you can't, and this is why he's making so many excuses, right? He's publicly stated that, you know, the fans are going to crucify him. Resident Evil fans are not going to like what I have to write. Well, how do you know that? Oh, and then months before he said that, you know, fans, there's going to be unhinged Resident Evil fans online that are not going to like what I have to say. I guess I'm paraphrasing here. I don't remember the exact quote, but that's what he was essentially saying. Again, this guy does not know. Right? He already knows. He knows. That's why he's making so many excuses, right? The movie is not going to be geared towards Resident Evil fans, right? The Resident Evil fans that are going to watch this are Resident Evil fans that already know that this is not going to be a good video game, like a video game adaptation of Resident Evil. They're just watching it because maybe they're fans of Zach Creggers' previous horror movies, whatever, right? Like that's fine. But my only issue is when you have either Resident Evil fans or you have Zach Creggers fanboys that like to say that this is a good video game adaptation. That's crazy.
Gonzo movie, by far. The great thing about how I like to play Resident Evil, especially the first time I play one of the games, I like to go really slow.
Okay, so, you know, again, this is the other issue that I had, right, with the first thing that he said. And this, again, is him reiterating what he stated months ago, is his experience. So, again, he's talking about his experience. This is how I like to play the games. Okay, nobody cares about how Zach Creggers likes to play the games. If you've played the games, by the way, I don't even know if he has. Again, let's just take it. Let's just say he does. Let's see what he has to say here. But as I mentioned, you want to take the general consensus, the general experience that most fans have when playing a game. Because if you're making this movie for fans, right? Ideally, you would. Why would you not? Like, how many Resident Evil fans are there? There's a ton. It's a freaking, like, what? Resident Evil 9 just sold freaking 7 million copies. Just what? Like a couple, like last week it was announced. Like, there's a lot of Resident Evil fans. Why would you not want them to watch your movie? Like, what is this made for just Zach Creggers fans? Is that what this is?
Through the world and just kind of drink it in. Especially the first time I play one of the games, I like to go really slow through the world and just kind of drink it in and try and immerse myself. You know, I'm pretending I'm there, like we all probably do when we play games. So you know, Austin is our main character, Brian, I should say. He's moving slowly through this world. So you know, if you've seen any of my other movies, you know I like to kind of like creep through these dreadful spaces. And I don't know what he means by slow.
You know what I mean? Like, like when your first playthrough of a game, like this could also be misconstrued, and I could even extrapolate and say like, what, he plays every Resident Evil game the same. If he does, if we're gonna take his word for it, that he plays a Resident Evil game, like for instance, is this his third time playing Resident Evil 9? He's going to really go around playing it like an old man and be like, look at that over there. Oh, I love the buildings. Oh, I love this. Like, this is great. And then he continues, right? Like, I don't know how slow he's talking about here. Is he talking about his first playthrough? Because admittedly, every Resident Evil fan will say that the first playthrough of you playing a Resident Evil game is going to take your longest. That's not just with Resident Evil. That's with any game, right? But the way he said it doesn't really sound like that. It almost sounds, again, I can extrapolate what he said there and state that it's like, oh yeah, every Resident Evil game that he essentially, I'm sorry, every Resident Evil game, he likes to go around and kind of immerse himself inside the world. So he's just looking at like rubble and looking at like, oh, I like the landscape here, the set pieces. Oh, I like that. You know what I mean? Like, it's like how, like I don't know how slow it is that you're going. And again, do you really want to add that too? Like, again, like we were just playing Resident Evil 6 the other day. Like, sorry, not the other day. It's like what, 2 months ago, before Resident Evil 9 came out. And you know, I had never noticed that like the background in the Eastern European, what was it called? Estonia country was like really nice. Like, it looked freaking fantastic. I've never stopped and looked at that. And sure enough, a lot of my viewers were also stating, yo, I never noticed that it looked that pretty. Like, and it's like, yeah, me neither, right? So again, that's not, it's like, that's a really small kind of thing to say, but like, it's a small kind of group to be like, oh yeah, this is everyone's experience. But again, it seems like based on everything that Zach has said, he's not basing this off of common experience when playing Resident Evil. He's basing this off of his experience. So if he moves really slow in a game and goes old man speed and be like, oh, what is that? Oh, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what he means by that. Like, can you show us examples? Can you tell us what you mean, like, specifically? So I don't know. Lady says, you know what's sad? As much as we don't like what we're hearing and seeing from this, I still think it could be a best live action movie, but that's how low the bar is. Yeah. Oh, Wesker's okay. My point is that it's not just a love letter to the games. It's welcoming newcomers who don't know the games. If Street Fighter could do that, there's no excuse why Resident Evil wouldn't work too. Yeah, exactly. That's another good point too, is that there's a lot of newer fans to Resident Evil, right? I just came back from Calgary Expo, and I spoke to a lot of newer fans. But the newer fans know the source material. They know the games that they've played. You know what I mean? So it's like that's... Like, just because they're newer fans doesn't mean that they get dismissed. You obviously want to if you're making a movie, you're making a video game too, like even Resident Evil 9. You don't need to play Outbreak. You don't need to play all of the Resident Evil games. You can literally start out with Resident Evil 9 and have a great experience. Why? Because that's a successful product. You don't need to play all of the games, the 30 plus games, to be able to have an understanding of what you're doing. Right? Likewise with the movie, you don't need to do all of that, right? So it needs to be open to newcomers, but also fans of the series, right? That's a given. So yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. He's trying to make it seem like he's a big fan to appease the actual fans, but he's already making excuses because they see through. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. What's up, Jamie? The best Resident Evil is the last chapter. No, the last Nigel's rage rating, bro.
And Resident Evil's like the perfect
the final chapter. No, you're crazy, bro. The last village which movie is like the worst, bro. Also Extinction, bro. What the no, those are like the worst
for a guy like me who likes to just, really take his time.
Yeah, you're trolling, bro.
Turning down a hallway, opening a door, and waiting for that Jack in the Box moment. And so that's kind of what.
Wait, because I wasn't listening.
Let's go for a guy like me who likes to
go back.
Spaces. And
all right, I gotta like it.
Kind of like creep through these dreadful spaces, and Resident Evil is like the perfect playground for a guy like me who likes to just really take his time, turning down a hallway, opening a door, and waiting for that Jack in the Box moment. And so.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess I was right. He just gave an example that he likes to take forever when playing a game. Can you imagine watching this guy stream playing Resident Evil, and it's not basically his first time? Apparently, if we're to take his word for it, if we gave him Resident Evil 9, we give him Resident Evil 7, he's going to take forever to walk down a hallway. Like, What does that sound familiar? We kind of just reacted to some I think it was a CS:GO guy, right? Like we reacted to what's his name? The Canadian guy, the Polish Canadian guy. He's really OP at like first person games. What's his name? Shroud. Shroud was playing Resident Evil 9 like he was looking at every corner, freaking peeking, freaking doing all these bobs and weaves, like first person stuff, like jiggle, what is it, jiggle peeking and stuff. I don't know. I'm not a first person gamer, but he was taking freaking like 50 minutes to just freaking go down a hallway. It seems like Zach is like that, right? So that right there shows that he's definitely a newcomer to the series. He doesn't play too much of the games if he's gonna freaking take like freaking 50 business days to walk down the freaking hall.
Doing here is he finds this abandoned farmhouse. I was a massive fan of Austin after working on Weapons, and I'm a bigger fan of him after making Resident Evil with him. He's so fascinating. He's the perfect avatar for the viewer. And what I wanted to do a Resident Evil movie where you're not following a badass with military training. You're following your average gamer like me. Like if I was thrust into a Resident Evil game, I would be terrified and I would be missing 95% of the shots I took. I would have to learn the guns as I go because I've played with an MP5, for however many thousands of hours playing video games. But if I have one in my hand, I'm like, where's the safety? How does this work? And so I think it's just kind of fun to be following somebody with no combat experience whatsoever as they're walking through hell with a machine gun. What he's carrying is important. And
okay, I don't have an issue with what he just said right there. I'm just going to say right now that I don't have an issue with that. So he's scared out of his mind playing R7. He crossed through the hell. Yeah, it literally takes freaking like 50 business days to go around. Yeah, is what he's saying. But that whole thing right there, I mean, even with Grace, right? This is not just, I think maybe this is where the Zach fanboys are trying to come up with this RE7 nonsense to try to compare this to this. But there's several instances where in the game's lore where the characters are noobs, right? They're new to the series. For instance, Moira from Revelations 2 is a great example. She doesn't even get a gun until the end of the game. She uses a freaking flashlight because, again, she's just an average Joe. Well, technically she had like a traumatic incident because her sister got like, you know what I mean? She was playing with a gun, Barry's gun, one of the characters in RE1, right, that we see, and also in Revelations 2. But he's the gun safety. But anyways, that's a great example of a character who doesn't have experience, right, with guns, doesn't want experience with guns, which made it interesting. We also have Grace, right, who is a very new character to, you know what I mean, to I think it was her first field mission in Resident Evil 9. Okay, that's not, yeah. So she's not going to be a badass. She doesn't know how to parry like freaking Leon. So, okay, that's fine. We have Ethan, right? Ethan is just a dude, but you know what I mean? He knows how to shoot a gun, right? I mean, I guess you could make the argument he's American. So, like, you know what I mean? If this was set in Canada, maybe not. You'd be like, what is this? You know what I mean? So, I'd be like, shooting, you know what I mean? But like, yeah, but most like even like, I'm even thinking like it's the other thing too is that, yeah, just that's fine. But again, just to hone in on Resident Evil 7 seems a bit crazy. I can find other examples with other protagonists that are kind of new to the series, new to the experience. And even if they're badasses or they have had some sort of training, that doesn't mean that just means that they're going to freaking be badasses the whole way, for instance, right? For example, all of the STARS members that show up in Resident Evil 1, right? They all are highly trained, kind of like SWAT members, let's say. That's the equivalent of STARS, right? They're all trained in several, dangerous situations. Going into a mansion, but as soon as they fight the undead, they fight these BOWs, these zombies, these hunters, these Cerberus, these dogs, right? These monsters in the mansion. Their training kind of goes, it doesn't fully stay, right? When you're in a tense situation that you've never been part of, you've never had training for, like, there's no training for like BOWs and stuff for most of the characters in the games, right? Unless they've had experience and they're like veterans of the series, then you know what I mean? Like even if they have training, that's you know what I mean? Like that still doesn't negate that they're going through something they've never experienced before, right? So again, you can take Leon, who was his first day on the job for being a cop. That doesn't mean that he was an expert, and he wasn't, right? So like again, Claire, she had some training from her brother, right? Like you can ascertain from that, and it's like, okay, well, does that mean that she's gonna be a zombie slaying badass? No, not necessarily, right? But, you know, later on in the movies, you're going to see more of that progression. So, again, the RE7 connection, not a strong argument.
And he doesn't know the whole picture when he...
Yeah, seriously, the main characters didn't start badasses. Is he just suggesting that we can only connect the characters if they're weak or has no experience? Exactly. That's well said, Adji. That's exactly my point. Is that it doesn't need to be, you can have training, right? You could just, you know, be an American citizen and just, you know, have shot some rifles and stuff, and then you're in the game, you're in this like situation. You know what I mean? Like it's not going to automatically make you a badass. What makes you a badass is if you've been through the situation over and over again, like characters like later on we see like Chris Redfield. Again, we've seen them fight, right? Like a good example of this is like Vendetta, when you see freaking Leon and Chris just freaking going around, dancing around zombies, shooting them, freaking, you know what I mean? Taking, you know, hitting them, freaking doing wrestling moves. They're freaking aura farming at that point because they've just been through the situation so many times. But that wasn't the case in their first experience. So yeah.
Accepts the job of what he's been tasked with. And Austin is just kind of this like perfect machine gun. What he's carrying is important, and he doesn't know the whole picture when he accepts the job of what he's been tasked with. And Austin is just kind of this like perfect, very lovable, but by no means badass guy. And his reactions to the horrors is just, I love it. I love it.
And it looks like there's a chance that we might not get to talk to each other again.
I just really love the idea of like you're moving through a sewer, you have no idea what's in front of you, and you come around a corner and you see a gigantic, obese, naked, hairless man just sitting.
So even he's laughing. I just want to make that very clear. Even he's laughing at the stupidity of how dumb this situation is. That he's going down and finding this freaking bald ass, freaking naked, like the naked guy. Freaking, I know a lot of people are saying that he looks like freaking like the Harkonnen guy from what's his name, the Baron in the Duke, right? Sorry, in Dune. Like even he's laughing at the stupidity. Like, who do you think wrote this, bro? Were you not co-writer? Like what? Like when does this happen in the game where you go in the sewer and you see a freaking fully naked fat guy who's just sitting there? Like what? And how, like if you're not even taking this seriously, then like why should I take this seriously?
Facing you, it's like, to me, it's just like what
I cannot not laugh every time.
I like the question there, and
I'll give this guy a chance because last night I watched the Welcome to Exeter first time. Trash. This reminds you of the what does it say? Of Rebecca's role. This is better reminds me of Rebecca's role. Don't get why George Romero didn't do this. Damn, it's a dude from RE8. Yeah.
Does go down. I am also pretty happy with. Honestly, it's like part of the inspiration for the look of this guy comes from.
Yeah, no, that doesn't make any
Blood
sense.
Meridian. There's a character called the Judge in that book who's described as like a 7 foot tall, you know, maybe albino, hairless man, and I love the image of that guy. And so this is just my little nod to one of my favorite books of all time. And it's also, it's like I don't have a nemesis in this movie, you know, that the games use, which is like this gigantic hulking, you know, Terminator that's following you. But this is also like.
So he doesn't have Nemesis. So he knows who Nemesis is. So this was his substitution as the fat guy. So this is gonna be the killing machine that's gonna go after the main character that Austin Abrams is playing. This is the thread here. And as soon as he sees him, he just laughs. Okay. Yeah, this is a lot. Yeah, but yeah. It's also funny he didn't mention Mr. X. He mentioned Nemesis. Yeah,
a little bit of a nod to the Nemesis.
To the Nemesis. To the Nemesis, not to Mr. X. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Every fan is saying that this looks like a freaking crappy freaking Mr. Double X Quadruple XL, and he compares this to Nemesis. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Show me that you're a Resident Evil fan. Yeah, that you're not a Resident Evil. You're not. That you played a Resident Evil game without. With that, what is it? You guys like this is like this guy. This guy's either trolling or he really doesn't know what the hell. What the hell? I wouldn't even say he played Resident Evil 3 remake. I honestly think this guy just watched some other people play. He's watched streams of Resident Evil 3. That's what he's done. Literally. I wasn't expecting the daddy chill. Okay, 1 second. Let's go back.
Is also like a little bit of a nod to the Nemesis.
I think the light device he has is one Jill has on her shoulder strap in RE3, folks saying it looks like a cell phone. Yeah. Well, the thing is that even if it's not a cell phone, the cars are still not from 1998. So by the looks of it, it is going to be a cell phone. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. This guy doesn't care about lore. He doesn't care about the timeline. He doesn't care about anything about Resident Evil. He doesn't know anything. Why should he care? He's getting paid millions.
A little bit of a nod to the Nemesis.
So this is at the beginning of the movie, right? This is the same house that he was in where he did the call, right? I'm assuming. I don't know what kind of monster this is. It seems like every BOW in this movie is all coming from Zach's mind. Zach isn't going to reuse freaking Cerberus. He's not going to reuse freaking, I don't know, what else? Hunters. He's not going to use freaking liquors. You know what's funny too, and this is something I stated months ago, is that you know that RE9 live action trailer? That one was like a really short trailer that did not break the lore. That didn't heavily break the lore and was still way better than anything Constantine Films has made. Like literally, they had a liquor. They had freaking Mr. Was it? No, it was Nemesis. They had like the Cerberus dogs before they got infected. They had the R.P.D. guys. Yeah, they had Kendo. The only thing I would say was that like the placement of everything was a bit weird. But it didn't break major lore like this guy.
I don't want to give too much away of whatever it is that's coming out of the door, but I will say that there's a mechanic that I've put into this movie that is, it might be in some of the games, and I just can't remember it being in some of the games.
Like I don't understand these Zach fanboys. When you have somebody who's not confident in talking about the games, it's clear this guy doesn't know anything about the games, right? Somebody just wrote he took games that no, Laval Blanding, no. When he says stuff like this, that negates that point immediately. When he says stuff like this,
that there's a mechanic that I've put into this movie that is.
Oh
it
gosh.
Might be in some of the games, and I just can't remember it being in some of the games. But
it might be. I don't remember. Sometimes the game goes in first person. Sometimes, yeah. Or it might be in the games. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I think. I don't know. Yeah, you think? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and you're a so-called fan, just like every other Resident Evil director has said that they're fans. Yeah. You know what? I would much rather respect the director who says, you know what? I've never played the games, but maybe I should. I played the games before the game started. Yeah, but I don't know anything about the games. I had to hire several Resident Evil experts to come and chat with me. I made sure the script was good because I'm also the writer. I would have respected that a lot more than literally what Paul W.S. Anderson said, what Johannes Roberts said, what the Netflix executives. And you know what's funny too is that the Netflix executives actually hired Resident Evil experts, or at least they said they did. I don't know where the experts were because, or you know what, maybe they hired them. I'm actually curious if they actually hired Resident Evil experts or if that was just complete BS. But what's interesting though is that if they did hire them, let's say they did. Let's just say Netflix, since they had $100 million to make that horrendous Resident Evil live action show that had absolutely nothing to do with Resident Evil, let's just say they did. They did not listen to the Resident Evil experts at all. They did not listen. So yeah, it's really bad. Yeah. Well, I think you're talking about the devil toasting a huge guy in this year. Looks like the thing swinging a huge axe in Resident Evil 5. The executioner you're talking about? The executioner? No, that is not it. I think we're all being too hard on it.
Basically,
No, I don't. I think you're being too soft on it.
it might be in some of the games, and I just can't remember it being.
How can you defend this? Like, I'm curious. How do you defend this nonsense? There's literally. I'm open to hearing. By the way, like, you can say I'm being too harsh here. Okay, tell me, what am I being too harsh on here? I'm basically looking at what he's saying and basically telling you that's not somebody that's confident in knowing anything about the games.
I'll say that there's a mechanic that I've put into this movie that is, it might be in some of the games, and I just can't remember it being in some of the games, but basically...
How do you defend that? Someone, let me know right now. If you think I'm being too harsh, let me know.
It's the way the infected interact with each other, and it's something that kind of pursues him throughout the movie. And so I don't want...
It's the way the infected react to one another. Is that what he just said?
Something that kind of pursues him through. It's the way the infected interact with each other.
It's the way the infected interact with each other. It's the way the infected interacted with each other. Is he talking about Resident Evil 4? Is that what he's talking about? Talking about like the ganado talking to each other? Vayan por detrás. Is that what he's saying? Like, what, the zombies are going to start talking to each other? No, I don't think so, because this is not zombies talking to each other. This seems like it's zombies that are just being conjoined twins together. That he doesn't know if it's from the games or not. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's something that kind of...
Too hard, too soft. Let's just make sure there is enough KY jelly. But I don't get the reference. It looks nothing like the Resident Evil games. Yeah, this might be the Nyx from the Outbreak. One of the arms has 5 people combined on it.
Pursues him throughout the movie. And so I don't want to say too much, but I'm really excited for how...
What attempt at core lore? The problem is they never attempted to be faithful to the lore. No, the problem is that the directors have stated that they're fans and that they want to be... No, he did state that this movie was not going to break any major lore. So he did say it, yeah.
Specific creature, for lack of a better term, how it changes and how it evolves over the course of the film is really fun. Believe it or not, this movie doesn't utilize zombies that much. It's much more focused on like the weird creature stuff than the zombies. There's really only 2 scenes, maybe 3 actually, now that I think about it, where there's like proper zombie stuff going on, and 2 of those 3 are in this trailer. There's this one right here, and then there's the one where he's running through the city.
This is what I was talking about. I saw this clip. So there's only 2 zombie scenes. There's a scene where the zombies are running on the rooftops. They should not be running. They jump off. There's a scene where they're chasing him in like an underground area, and that's it. Yeah. What's the problem with that? What can any guys tell me what the biggest problem with that is? Yeah, because he seems to be, what he's trying to say is that this movie is just going to be Zach's BOWs. It's just going to be Zach's BOWs. Zach's, whatever Zach thinks that are from the games or not. Yeah. I think it's that. Yeah, I think it's that thing that was in the games. Yeah. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I think. That's what he's trying to do. Yeah, and so it's just gonna be Zach's BOWs, Zach's big freaking quadruple freaking fan fiction. That's a good point. What's up? Hey, Ashley Parker. What's up? Those are regular people, sir. This guy's a grifter. Let's flying to the final boss. Sorry for the future. I don't know. Okay, guys. It's a good VOW. Yeah. Hey, Kendo Guns up. What's up, man? Long time no see. I haven't seen you since Alan Wake 2. Thank you for stopping by. I said Cregger said he beat RE9 twice, bruh. Literally. Yeah, and I bet you both times, if we were to accept that he beat Resident Evil 9 twice, again, I don't believe this guy one bit. This guy, the way he talks about Resident Evil sounds like a freaking guy who doesn't know nothing about nothing when it comes to Resident Evil. He talks like somebody who's watched other people play, but he's never played them. As sad as that sounds, it looks like he half paid attention, because he's like, yeah, I think this is from the game. I think so. You know how the game does that sometimes, right? He probably hasn't beat any of them. Yeah. He did specifically say too, he beat Resident Evil 4 so many times.
Trailer. There's this one right here, And then there's the one where he's running through the city streets and zombies are like detonating around him. But other than that, it's not I wouldn't call this like a zombie movie necessarily. I just feel like you have this opportunity for the T virus to do all these really fascinating things to the human body and to the world around you. And so to just limit it to zombies feels like a squandered opportunity. So
Am I tripping here? Did he just say that having zombies in a Resident Evil 2 3 game is just a squandered opportunity? Is that what he just said? Like, okay, from a Resident Evil fan's perspective, what's wrong with that? Zombies are everywhere in Raccoon City. All right, they're everywhere. The city, it's a huge city. There's zombies running around everywhere. Okay, on top of that, we also have different monsters that show up. Different BOWs is what we call them, bioorganic weapons, right? There's mutations happening. There's stuff happening, right? But one of the things that's always there is that you're seeing. One of the things that's always happening is that you're always seeing, you know what I mean, these zombies. These zombies are like a nuisance, essentially, right? They're not the biggest threat, but as mentioned before, we talked about Crimson Heads. They can become a huge problem where the zombie mutates and then starts freaking chasing you. You know what I mean? In Resident Evil 1, in Operation Raccoon City, that's about it. And then obviously in Resident Evil 9 with the blister heads. But to say that it's a squandered opportunity to showcase zombies when you're talking about when apparently... Again, this is a huge contradiction because, as mentioned at the beginning of this whole thing, he said that this can coexist with the games, right? This can coexist with the games as this movie, right? You can put this movie on and then play the games, and you're not going to have any problems. You're not going to have any plot holes. You're not going to have any major lore problems. Yeah. That's a problem. That's a problem. What is he smoking? Yeah. What? Oh no. Outside of the Crimson, why would he spoil his own movie like that? Yeah, this movie's going to be like a generic crappy slow. Yeah, because it's funny too, because I've heard a lot of Resident Evil fans, like that's another argument that Resident Evil fans are like, okay, well, you know, this movie's not going to be a good video game adaptation, right? That's clear. But hopefully it's just a good zombie movie. Well, yeah, we now officially know that that's not the case, boys. It's 100% not going to be a good zombie movie. It's not going to be that. So all you guys have is just it being a good horror movie that has absolutely nothing to do with Resident Evil. So all you're doing is you have a guy who's made 2 other horror movies and he's making a 3rd horror movie and he's trying to make it seem as if he's played the games when he hasn't. He's trying to say that he's a fan when he hasn't. Again, I would have had a little more respect for him if he had just said, you know what, I'm not a fan of the games. I've liked the idea of the games, but I'm too scared to play. That's why he plays like an old man, like freaking 90-year-old. He's walking down the freaking hallway, which he basically said, right, takes him freaking forever, like a newcomer to the series who's scared about everything. What do you mean? Even Grace had the freaking confidence to go down the hall, bro. You know what I mean? Like, it's not even. I'm just joking with Grace there, but it's even worse. It's worse than that. So that's what it seems to me. I'm gonna be honest with everything he said, all the data that he said. Yeah, this is not good. 405 also didn't have zombies. Yes, but when you're talking about Resident Evil 2 and 3, you can't use that argument. Right? He specifically said that Resident Evil 2 and 3, this isn't Raccoon City we're talking about here, right? We're not talking about Las Plagas, whatever, you know what I mean? The second variant of it from Resident Evil 5. This is not the movie for that. This isn't Raccoon City for Resident Evil 2 and 3. So, you know, you can't even use that, or you can't. You can't. He should have done that because it seems like the only game he's played is Resident Evil 4, but I don't know. I don't know what to believe. I'm not going to believe anything about what this director said. Oh, he's played Resident Evil 9 twice? Yeah, okay.
Really fascinating things to the human body.
All right.
To the world around you. And so to just limit it to zombies feels like a squandered opportunity. So I tried to, you know, really vary it up.
Some things have happened.
Okay, great. So I'm glad you picked on the drawers and the empty shotgun, because one of the things that like is so integral to playing Resident Evil is you're constantly searching for healing items and ammunition, right? And that's what he's doing in these scenes where he's going through the drawers. He's found a shotgun, he's got no shells, he's got to find the shells, so he's got to like comb this house for these like vital, you know, bits of ammunition. And
how many of you guys want to bet that this is the only scene that showcases this? I'm getting Johann Roberts vibes here. Yeah, it's going to be, we actually got the architecture blueprints, and it's going to be exactly like the games. It's going to be exactly like this. It's going to look exactly like the mansion. It looks exactly like the games. Yeah, it's the R.P.D. looks exactly like the games. Literally nothing else of that movie. For FYI, if you haven't watched Welcome to Raccoon City, there's only one. It was barely the room. It was barely the room. So they asked Capcom to send over a bunch of the blueprints, and they, instead of using the whole blueprints to make the actual set of the whole entirety of the actual structure of R.P.D. and also in Raccoon City, this is all we're seeing. Like what? Yeah. Yep. Survival horror gameplay emulation. Yeah. Hey, Raiden, how's it going? 7 Zach did it. Box got him. Yep, it was Zach. Get.
for these, like, he's got no shells. He's got to find the shells. So he's got to like comb this house.
What happened? What happened? What are you guys saying? Stream unavailable? Policy violations. Your stream has been temporarily blocked because we detected video belonging to someone else? What the frick? What the Oh man, wow, they got me on YouTube. Interesting. Interesting. Okay, they actually shut down my stream. Okay, are we back? 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 No, I didn't get a strike. No, I didn't get a strike. You're back. Okay. What the frick? No, YouTube was saying that I'm using somebody else's content, right? But IGN gives the rights so that you can actually see other people's content. So that's not an issue. So I don't know what happened. I think YouTube kind of just maybe thought that something was up. That I was like, what's going on, guys? What's going on? Yeah, let's see IGN stuff. I'm pretty sure I'm allowed to talk about it. Okay, boys. Well, I guess we're really close to finishing this. We're really close to finishing this, boys. Yes, we're back. You're talking too many facts here. You're talking too many facts. Stop the stream. Stop the stream. Zach private YouTube now. No. I think just YouTube got confused, right? I think that they're probably seeing too many scenes, right? So you know what I'll do is, I don't need to listen. We don't need to watch it. I think I can just hear it, right? So we're gonna try that on YouTube, because they're just replaying the trailer, right? So that's not an issue. We're just gonna listen to it, all right? I'm gonna put the volume, and that's all we're gonna do, okay? Because what we're really seeing, we're not seeing the footage. We already saw the trailer. I don't need to watch it again, right? So let me know if this happens again, but we're just going to be reacting to the thing. And by the way, if you guys are enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like. Much appreciated. Glad you didn't get a strike. No. That's not how strikes work. No. You can get a copyright claim, but that's not a strike, right? A strike is very different. That's not what's happening here. You got the virus from Umbrella. No, I got the Zach Creggers version of the T virus. His version from his experience. Anyways, we're just gonna play this so you guys can hear. Let me know if the stream goes. I'm gonna actually look it up on my phone, and we're almost done, boys. Okay, one second. All right, I'm just gonna check if the stream is there. All right, we're good. All right, I'm just gonna play it and we're gonna react to it, because like I said, I don't need to look at the footage
for these like vital, bits of ammunition.
Team
so
UT.
You can't really do a proper, love letter to the games without that. And so I've also hidden some. I think you can see one in this trailer. Maybe there's a plant. Camera screen left over his right shoulder. You can kind of see it in the movie. The shot pulls back farther and you can see it. But I took the green herb from Resident Evil 4, and I replicated the bucket exactly. You can see the.
You guys heard that, right? You guys heard that? Am I tripping? You guys heard what I just heard. He said he grabbed a green herb from Resident Evil 4. Can anybody tell me what's the problem with that? Can anybody just tell me right now what the problem with that is? Just with this statement. Just so that people know that I'm not being harsh here. Just from a Resident Evil fan's perspective, explain to me, chat. Explain to me what the problem is from a Resident Evil fan's perspective. He just said that the green herb is from Resident Evil. It's not only RE4, thank you. That's the RE2. Yeah, because remember, he said this game is supposed to be in 1998 and Resident Evil 2. Yeah, green herb is not only RE4 thing. Thank you. Yes, so this is just so that the Zach Creggers fanboys know that this is, I'm not being harsh here. This is just realistic, right? You cannot say stuff like this and think you can get away with just tricking fans. Like what? Also, can I just say that plant, why does he make it look like Resident Evil 4? It doesn't even look like Resident Evil 4. Now, I don't even know if I should even show you guys this. We're just going to go out really quick, all right? He's just showed that, okay? Like, what? What? You're proud of that? Like, what's going on here? What? Herbs have always been an art. Yeah. Yep. So I don't understand what he's talking about. Okay, hold up. I need to put the audio back because we kind of took it out. Hold up. I'm gonna put the audio. Okay, we're almost done, boys. We're almost done.
With the horizontal copper striping on.
I remember him saying that's the most game he has played in RE. Yeah. It seems like that might. Yeah, that it seems like out of everything he said. And you know what's funny too is that this herb doesn't even look like RE4. It doesn't even look like R. So I don't even think this guy's played Resident Evil 4. Because if he said, "Oh, I'm getting the green herb that's like from Resident Evil 4," but then he doesn't get a herb that looks like Resident Evil 4, he just has like a normal plant. Like I don't know, man. Like it's it's strange. You know what I mean? That's crazy. Yeah. Blanding says the med bag from RE0. Yeah, okay, but hold up. No, it's not from RE0. That's crazy. That's a crazy connection. No, I'm sorry, but he's carrying an organ in there, okay? Rebecca wasn't having an organ transplant going around Raccoon Cities. Oh, it's okay, Forrest. I have an extra heart for you. Like, I have an extra chest after you got pecked by the freaking crows. You know, and that's not.
Well, you can see the
bucket
happening there at the very end of that shot with the horizontal copper striping on it, and the herb is exact.
So he's saying that it does look like RE4. Am I tripping? Because this is only from Resident Evil 4, boys. What kind of picture is this? What kind of picture is this? It's the guy that's high. Yeah. Okay. So he's saying that this little stripe here is this little stripe. This big freaking plant is the same as this little plant. Okay. Okay. Yeah, okay, all right. Okay, all right. Okay, all right. Okay, hold on. I gotta make sure that the audio's on again. Yeah, but I think so. I think someone described him key points and cool things he saw in the game, sprinkled in some Silent Hill stuff, and watched someone play it. And yeah, no, I don't think he's played any of the Resident Evil games, if I'm being 100% honest. Nothing he stated here points to that. Nothing. Unless somebody wants to say, no. Remember, he said that. That makes sense. No, I'm not hearing anything. I actually, good luck. Good luck. If you're the type of person that wants to say that this guy is a fan and that he's going to do a good job of doing a video game adaptation, all I'm going to say is good luck. Good luck to you trying to make arguments on that, because this guy is not helping you out, man. He's making it really hard for any person, any Zach Creggers fanboy to even logically say that this guy is a fan of the games, that he's actually played the game. Nothing of what he said so far has stated to any of that. Yes, sometimes, yeah, maybe it's like, what? Heard if we support it, may get those characters in the sequel. Yeah, that's, yeah, from who said that? Thing is, the exact plot design, the light pod with the yellow cover stripes, is not from RE4 from RE2 remake. Ooh, okay, wait, should I look up? But he said green herbs are just from RE4. That's what he said. No, that's Revelations 2. Revelations. Actually, I'm seeing the stripes in a lot of the games, actually. Yeah, a lot of the games, like the Revelation games has the same stripe, but it's not there. It's like at the edge of it. Yeah, Revelations shows that. Revelation. Yeah, okay, Resident Evil 2. That's yeah, Resident Evil 2, like the blue herb I'm looking at here. Yeah, it's like a bucket. So even he got that wrong. But no, he said his Resident Evil 4, guys. He said his Resident Evil 4. Also, that looks like a massive green herb, but okay. All right. Okay. Anyways, let's continue, boys. Let's continue.
for the Resident Evil 4 thing, which is probably the game I've played the most out of this series is 4.
You see how? Okay, wait. You guys can't see this. You see how he's going right here? He's like, yeah, this is what he's doing. He's like, yeah, the most game that I've played out of the whole series. Yeah. Okay, I'm just gonna lie, my VS detector is ringing here. It's going off. I don't think this guy's played Resident Evil 4 at all. I'm gonna be honest with you boys. I don't think he's played Resident Evil 4 at all. I think he's lying. I think he's lying, bro. Nothing of what he said is points towards him being a fan. Anyways, let's hear him.
Probably the game I've played the most out of this series is 4. Even though this probably lives in the world of 2, I just wanted to use a little bit of 4 in here, just because it's my favorite. And I also have some other items from 4 that are kind of scattered around in this movie that people will notice. As much as 4 is the game I've played the most, I don't think it's very scary. You know, 4 does not do nearly as much atmospheric heavy lifting as later games do. I mean, for me, the scariest moment of any Resident Evil game is in.
For many later games. He doesn't say previous games from Resident Evil 4. He says later games. So is he talking about House Beneviento with Resident Evil 8? Or did he watch a stream of Resident Evil 7?
8, when you're being pursued by the giant baby.
Okay, I can read this guy like a freaking book, man. Holy cow. What? Yeah, there's problems. Yeah, there's freaking problems with what you're saying. Yeah. Which means he didn't play original 4. Yeah, he's saying the later games. Yeah. Yeah, you can't say, oh yeah, the previous games are scarier, or he doesn't even say too, like, oh, what if he's such a scaredy cat? You know, he could have said the Regenerators. Regenerators was pretty freaking, like, as a kid, I remember playing that, and I was like, bro, like that's pretty bad. But yeah, you know what I mean? I was like, what the hell is this? This is freaking insane. Why are with these zombies? Yeah, but he doesn't. He's not saying anything. He's literally not saying anything. I love how the daddy chill came up. Did I say the key word? I don't know. That was funny. Jujitsu Trash Can, how's it going, man? I had to say it, but I don't think Zach has played as much as he could. I don't think he's played anything, if I'm being 100% honest. I think he's watched streams and Let's Plays. But just to admit that you've only watched others play. Yep. Like I said, I would have a lot more respect if he just admitted it.
In the dark of that the basement. So some of the by the giant. Scariest moment of any Resident Evil game is in 8 when you're being pursued by the giant baby in the dark of that the basement. So some of the games after 4, I think, actually do a better job of building dread and suspense and terror. But the reason that I keep coming back to 4 is because the world is so big, the game is so huge, the mechanics.
So he doesn't think any other game previous to RE4 exists. That seems like he hasn't played Resident Evil 2. He hasn't played Resident Evil 3. If a fan of the games would be able to say, playing Resident Evil 3 OG, even the remake, you could even say if you're a scaredy cat, which a lot of people are, that's fine. if you could even say having the nemesis terrorize you and freaking come up out of nowhere. I know the remake only had certain sections where that basically happened, but the OG, oh my god. I remember talking to one Resident Evil fan a long time ago. He's a Brazilian friend that I had. I played Star Wars Battlefront 2 with him all the time. He said he grew up playing OG Nemesis 3. And he said the amount of dread I would have because freaking you just and freaking and you know what I mean, like you just hear him, go, literally freaking chase you. And as a kid, like I can understand that, right? Like for me, even like I wasn't allowed to play, Resident Evil games and stuff, but I did. It's funny. It's funny how Resident Evil was a little bit harder to come around and kind of bypass, but I played Silent Hill with my mom and stuff. But even going back to Resident Evil, Silent Hill was my first survival horror, but going back to Resident Evil, I played Dino Crisis. That was my introduction to Resident Evil, right? Then I played CV, then I played 1 at my cousin's place, and then CV and 4 were basically the first ones that I actually beat, right? The older I got, because the games are hard, right? CV is genuinely hard, but anyways, you know what I mean? Like you could even say like I lost my train of thought, boys. Shoot, what was I gonna say? Yeah, Resident Evil 3, that's a really intense moment, right? Dino Crisis, being chased by dinosaurs, that's a really intense moment. You know what I mean? Those are moments that cause dread, especially as a kid, especially as somebody back in the 90s, even if you weren't a kid. There's so many Resident Evil fans that when they played OG RE1 and or even the remake of Resident Evil 1 remake and having the dogs go through the window, they're Cerberus dogs. Those are the monsters, right? Like the BOWs, the bioorganic weapons. That causes dread. It doesn't have to be something scary. So the fact that he doesn't mention any of this, he doesn't even mention Resident Evil 7. He only mentions House Beneviento, which came out 2021? Says a lot.
Are fantastic. And it does lean a little bit.
Yeah, OG Nemesis is so funny, bro. I remember playing it with my brother. I played with my brother. He was a kid and stuff, and we were like play together and stuff. And I was like a teen, right? And my brother would always be like, "Pick the dumbest options. It always works. Pick the dumbest options." And it literally always it's so funny. I love OG Nemesis. OG Nemesis is so good, man. All the directors said they have played the game. It literally means nothing. I prefer someone who never played but done his research and made it exactly. Yeah, like I'm just thinking. George A. Romero said he wasn't a gamer. He liked video games. He liked watching other people play, but he never played them. But he got people to help him out making the script, and he added his flavor into it, right? That's fun. I'm okay with that. That's 100%. Like, you can go ahead, but, Constantine Films did not like George A. Romero. They went with Paul W.S. Anderson. So, yeah.
More action than some of the more horror-centric ones.
I heard that there's a lot more zombie scenes, more than 2 from the guy that went to the set. Okay. Well, who's lying here? Some rando on the internet or the director of the movie? If the director is lying, that doesn't help the case that this is a good movie. Okay, it's gonna be a good Resident Evil movie.
But I don't know. I find it so relentlessly playable. I'm always interested in how it kind of goes from location to location to location, and you got to go through. At some point you're on a boat, and then you're on like a Indiana Jones Temple of Doom kind of mine cart thing going around. There's just like there's so.
What? Oh, he's talking about RE4. Okay.
Much to do in that game, and I think that's something that I really dug about 4 is that you're not just trapped in.
This is the only time, by the way, where he's mentioned several locations in a game. So I'm going to give it to him. I'm going to say that he did actually do this. Oh, boys, I have to go soon. That's my cue. Okay, we're just going to listen up real quick. I'm not going to be playing any games. I'm going to have to change my thumbnail later on. This will be turned into videos, but let's just finish up. Let's just finish up.
Got 2 more minutes. Room and then go here and then unlock another room. You're moving through a world. And so that's something that I really took from that game in particular.
Hey, do you have any debt issues? If you're in Canada and you have over $10,000 of debt,
and one of the other things that is in this movie that comes directly from the games is the need for keys and for padlocks being barriers. If you've ever played one of these games, you know that you always come to a locked door and you don't have what you need to get to the other side, and you have to go through hell to get the key to get out of here.
This is what Lady was talking about. Yeah, this is what Lady was talking about. The argument that these Zach fanboys are always using against Resident Evil fans is like, you guys just want a game that just is exactly like the games. And then meanwhile, Zach is trying to be like, yeah, I'm trying to incorporate some stuff from the game.
So that happens, I'd say, about 4 times over the course of this movie.
Canadians
like,
have jet.
What is with all the padlocks, man? Anyone who's played the games will recognize.
It's not always padlocks. Yeah, good catch. Yeah. Wait, when? I'm trying to think now. When has it been padlocks? I'm trying to think. Like, I can only think of, padlocks. I'm trying to think. How many padlocks are there? Like, I'm thinking right now, just from the top of my head, like Resident Evil 5 had some like those big freaking or like was OG RE4 had like padlocks, but you could just knife them, right? Like what? I'm trying to think, like a padlock. Like there's. Duke never played 4 padlocks on the chain link fences. Like the ones you use with the bolt cutters. I don't know. I'm trying to think. That's a good point, though.
You know what I'm doing.
OG RE3
I had a little
Park.
bit of a problem on the
Okay.
road. I was wondering if I could use your phone.
It takes
Yeah.
place
But-
almost in.
But he's saying it like it happens all the time. I'm like trying to think. Like that's kind of hard. Like I'm trying. There's so many games. I'm trying to like. Okay, anyways, we gotta continue. We gotta continue, boys.
Yeah,
I don't have too much. I don't have
it takes
time.
place over
I
the
gotta go
course of
soon.
One evening. I'm
Oh,
sure-
after you meet, yes. After you meet Kendo and RE3, yeah, on the left, he is.
existing just adjacent
That's
to it,
hard.
because I'm not obsessed with the timeline. For me, it's like this is the first night that the T virus is broken out, and in this movie, it is like started in Raccoon City, and he's got to go straight into the eye of the storm. And so
He's scratching his head.
That's the deal. So I believe that, you know, when Leon arrives at the police station, that's still kind of like day 0, right? Where shit's you know, freshly gone wrong. So that's the timeline.
Nope. That's not the first day where stuff goes wrong. In fact, isn't it like a week before where things were getting worse? You know, that's a movie he could have made. Is basically Raccoon City kind of getting worse and worse and worse, right? And then, you know what I mean? Like you could just do, like a lot of people are saying, like you could do like an outbreak, right? But no, that's not it. That's not, when Leon gets there, it's not like the start of day 0.
Now,
so again, another point where he just has no idea what the frick he's talking about. Snow, but in the game there's no snow. I know, right? No, but it's supposed to be with the game.
You know that Raccoon City gets nuked.
I remember it starts on the 23rd.
I'm
Thank
a
you.
little fuzzy on the timeline of when the nuke drops versus the day Leon, you know, sets foot in the police station. That nuking doesn't happen in this movie, which is why I'm not totally like brushed up on all that stuff.
Why are you not brushed up on that stuff? Okay, if you don't know, freaking hire somebody that knows. Okay, like how hard is it? How many millions of dollars did they pay you, Zach? For the love of God, bro. What? What? He just admitted he has no clue what the hell the timeline is. And he's not just the director, by the way. If he was just the director, it's like, okay, you get a pass. He's the co-writer. Okay, he's the co-writer, and he doesn't even know. That means also, too, his friend, who the other co-writer, Shay Hatton or whatever his name is, he also didn't know.
But
Daddy, chill.
so yeah, this exists. This exists in like day 1, Raccoon City.
I love that
Just
automated
went
voice.
south.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah, this exists in like day 1, Raccoon City. Shit just went south. I was very, very fortunate to have a studio and a production company that really supported me and never got in the way.
Never questioned me. Never questioned by authority.
Of well, you know, we got to make sure we're doing X, Y, or Z. Like I was given nothing but support, and so
Constantine Films is just like, you know what? Just take the keys. We believe in you. You can do it. Just do the same thing you did with the horror movies that has nothing to do with video game adaptations. Just go. Take it.
I know there's all kinds of horror stories you hear about filmmakers dabbling with IP and running in.
Yep. This is what I was talking about. This is what I was talking about, right? This has happened several times where the production companies are always in control, right? This is one example that I used. This was like a year. This was like this is like maybe what? 4 years ago when I talked about Welcome to Raccoon City, is I brought up the example of George Lucas, right? George Lucas was one of the guys who, you know what I mean? He did not want the freaking production companies to come and do whatever they wanted with his movie. So he said, okay, you guys can have the rights for my first movie, but then the second movie, I'm going to fund it myself. And so they said, yeah. So, you know, after the Star Wars was a successful movie, they were like, we're so excited to do Empire Strikes Back. George Lucas was out of there. He's like, I'm not having these guys freaking come in and do whatever they want, because that's what happens. They have authority that supersedes, right? Now, of course, again, I don't want to take Zach's I don't want to take what he's saying at face value, because he's already lied about several things already. It's very clear he has no idea what he's talking about when it comes to Resident Evil. So it could very well be that Constantine Films still gave him some pointers, right? This is something that I was kind of saying before. It seems like he might be going the post-apocalyptic route, just from based on what he said. And if that's the case, that's Constantine Films getting their little hands in there, right? And this is what Zach's talking about, right? That this happens where production companies do this. So again, am I going to take him at face value? No, I'm not. I can't take this guy at face value. He's already shown that he does.
All sorts of frustrations, but I truly didn't have that.
Yeah, truly. Okay, well, that's it, boys. Anyways, boys, I'm sorry that we couldn't play today, but you know what? Hey, we did a lot. The stream almost got shut down and stuff. But boys, I do have to go. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. This will be turned into videos if you guys missed the stream, right? But thank you to everybody for stopping by. Really appreciate you guys. And I'll catch you guys next week. But anyways, see you, boys. See ya.